Robbie Maddison has spent his life riding at the edge of what's possible, imagining things that no one had ever attempted before, and then finding the courage to try anyway. From humble beginnings in Australia, Robbie quickly became a top freestyle motocross rider and would eventually take a new path, creating some of the most groundbreaking moments in the history of the sport. His journey has never been about attention or approval. It's always been about expression, vision, and trusting in your dreams. In this episode, we talk about the path to success, the highs and the lows, the pressure and the fear, the mental battles, and the evolution that comes when you step into a deeper sense of purpose. This is Robbie Maddison. Now let's dive in. I want to take a moment to talk about my absolute favorite gear brand. I got my first set of Fox gear when I was learning to ride in 1998. Not just because it looked cool, but because it meant something to me. That Fox head was more than just a logo. It was an identity. All these years later, I'm still wearing Fox, and it still means just as much. For 50 years, Fox Racing has been chasing the edge, pushing the limits of what's possible with moto gear. From past legends to the next generation of riders, Fox has never stopped evolving. And through it all, the mission has always stayed the same: build the most advanced gear on the planet for those bold enough to push beyond the limit. I've been part of this journey since I was a kid, and I'm proud to still fly the Fox head. Go check out the latest gear at foxracing.com. Welcome to Ride Beyond, where we go beyond the ride and into what matters. In this podcast, you'll find meaningful conversations with people who live with passion, chase freedom, and remind us what it means to live fully. The motorcycle is our connection, but the stories are what take us beyond. Yeah. So, how's Australia? I know you're pretty jet lagged right now. You got home like a day ago.
Yeah, it's Australia is good. We were so busy out there. I was there for 3 weeks. Did a wedding, rode dirt bikes for a week at the V8 Supercars, and then another wedding, and then I poured a slab at my house, putting a pergola on out the back. So I got back from the event, and I was just smoked. And my wife's the next day, she's like, "You got to pour this pergola." I was like, "Oh." So life of a family man. But we got that done, and then ended up just staying a couple extra days to decompress, and I had more jobs to do as well. So got that done, and then I was just reading about a mass shooting that happened today in Sydney.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 11 people killed.
Oh my God.
Bondi Beach. Heavy.
Dude, that type of stuff is happening too often. It's horrible.
Just racial shit, attacking each other.
Was it?
It's so bad, yeah.
Man, that's unfortunate.
It's horrible.
Yeah, I know you're pretty jet lagged, so thanks for making time to do this.
I was going to put clear eyes in, but I forgot to do that part. So
you look fine.
My eyes aren't super red?
No. Yeah, I mean, you look a little tired, but not bad. I mean, it's understandable
I'm tired.
for the travel you've been.
I just woke up to, and I'm like, everyone's just passed out, and I'm like,
yeah.
Oh.
Jealous.
And I'm like, when I'm tired, it takes me like 3 or 4 alarms to get out of bed, and that was the situation this morning. I was just hitting snooze, and I was like, oh.
I always find it a lot harder coming back for some reason. Like when I go overseas, when I travel east, for some reason it seems really easy, and then coming home is really hard. I don't know why. Yeah,
no, that's the case. Like when we especially go to Australia, the flights used to be good because like you used to fly out of Sydney at like 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and arrive in Australia at like 6 a.m. So you had like a 13-hour night to sleep, which is good. And you have a couple of sleeping pills, and you be out to it and get there and you're fine. And then coming this way, back in the day, you used to leave at 5 p.m. So it was kind of good too, because you kind of get to sleep. Your body wanted to sleep. But now we left at 11 a.m. We were awake the whole time. And I think I slept for like 2 hours right when we took off. Had a muscle relaxer and slept in a bit. And then, because my back just all like, it's heavy in those flights. Like by the end, I'm just so compressed. Anyway, I fell asleep. I slept 2 hours, awake the whole flight, and then right when we're landing, I was like nodding off, got about half an hour sleep, and then I was like, I did get home, but we got home at 9 a.m. And then I was like, I will lay down for 2 hours. 7 hours later,
yeah,
like, damn it,
yeah.
So that's where we're at now. Like we all, our body clocks want to go to sleep at like 3, 4 a.m. So last night was sucked because I was like, we had dinner, went over to the neighbor's house, said hello to him and a couple other neighbors, and then I came back to watch a movie with the wife, and then after that, I was like 1 a.m.
Brutal.
and I was wide awake. Kids are like mixing DJ songs, and kids are building Lego and stuff. I'm like, damn, it's 1 a.m. and like 3 a.m. I'm like, you gotta get it back.
Yeah, it takes a solid week to bounce back.
Yeah. Been doing it for 20 years. So it's,
Yeah, you're used to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're used to going back and forth to Australia.
mm,
Dude, I've been following your career for a really long time. I worked with you for a period when I was at DC, probably 12 years ago. And even before that, I think my first experience was in Vegas. I was there for New Year's when you did what was the name of that building?
the Arc de Triomphe.
Yeah, you did that step up and then jumped off. Just insane. But so you've made a career doing things that most people would never even dream of. What is it inside of you that's always wanted to like push the limit of what's possible?
I think the root cause of it is how I was brought up. As funny as it is, but we're all kind of we all have emotional, psychological situation going on, all of us, and we're conditioned by our pasts. Past.
Yeah.
It's caught between my Australian and Aussie, American accent. So, and yeah, that was I think that's the root cause of it. Just the way I was brought up. I was kind of like, family was always chasing every dollar, so it was a stressed financial situation, and my dad kept me really busy because he didn't really have much when he was growing up, so he bought me a dirt bike first thing because he always wanted one. So pretty amazing parents to be so selfless and give me and my sisters everything that we kind of wanted or tried to. It was at a budget, but it put a lot of stress on the family. And I think I saw that dynamic, and I saw my dad work his ass off to be able to give me the lifestyle I had. So both of us, all of us, from living on the beach and having dirt bikes. And so like every weekend he didn't want me really being a riffraff kid because he grew up on the streets. And so he took me to racing every day, every weekend. And so I'd race on the weekends. I'd do school during the week. I was boxing, surfing, riding BMX bikes, skateboarding, playing in the bush, just kind of like one of those kids that was just like always outside. And street lights come on, had to be home, that old rule. And yeah, man, I think ultimately what defines me is when I was 16, I'd grown up racing, and I'd reached the top of racing and used to battle with Chad Reed. And one of my greatest memories of racing was like the battles that we used to have, and he went on to become, world champion, one of the greatest ever. So I felt a little bit robbed of a lifestyle when that happened because I was working as an electrician, and I just put all my energy into working and didn't have a dirt bike at the time. Worked my ass off and bought a house. And one time when I was at work, I was just super depressed because I just didn't want that lifestyle anymore. And I went and watched Crusty Demons, and I saw Twitch and Luke Urek doing turndowns in the crowd, and I was just like, dude, I didn't even think that was possible. So I'd bought a bike by then, so I went and rode on the weekend and learned how to do turndowns that first weekend, and I was like, there it is, it felt sick. So I just couldn't stop watching the footage of myself riding. And I used to like look at Freerider magazine was like what I lived for that back then. So I used to buy that magazine, just look at these pictures, and I was just mesmerized by the shots of people's bodies in the air. And so that just like became a fantasy for me. And I honestly thought I'd missed the boat, I just thought I was too old and it was never going to happen. And I had meningitis. So I got, I was from working, I was working 12-hour days as much as I could. So I was doing 72 hours a week. I was doing 4 12-hour days, 2 10-hour days, and an 8-hour on Sunday.
Damn.
And
what's meningitis?
So it's a bacteria infection. Viral meningitis. I had viral meningitis, viral encephalitis. To pretty much work myself to just sleep deprived, and I was living on my own in my house, renting rooms, that kind of situation, like frat boy kind of house. And we were partying a lot, and we were I wasn't getting enough sleep, and I was working my ass off, and something had to give, So I was just run down.
Yeah, your body can only take so much.
Yeah. And so I probably wasn't getting the best diet and stuff like that. And then, and I'd always show up for work a couple of minutes late, fashionably every day. But I was riding my BMX bike to work because I had my car impounded by the police. And so I was getting up even earlier now to get on the train, to catch the train half an hour, get off the train, ride into the steelworks. And you're not allowed to ride a BMX bike in the steelworks, but that kind of didn't stop me. But I'd rip past the security guards. And anyway, one day I realized like I had equity in my house. And so I realized I could get out of this by taking a loan on the equity I had in my house, because it had gone up in value over $100,000. So I borrowed $75,000 and put it in my bank account and told my boss I wouldn't come to work again. And woke up the next day. My dad, I'd moved back home by then, rented the house out to have extra income. And my dad's like, "What are you doing? You're late for work." I'm like, "I've retired." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I was telling him the drill, and he's like, "You're not living in my house unless you're working." I'm like, "I'm paying rent." He's like, "I don't give a shit. You're not living here." So I kind of moved out, and fortunately enough, they let me stay on the property that they had. So there was no power, no water, and I was living in a caravan, and I was riding a dirt bike every day. And
Dude.
so I kind of got what I wished for.
Yeah.
I had $75,000. I wasn't spending a dime. Right? I was living with no power, no water. I was kind of sleeping couch surfing at buddies' houses around that area. Kind of met that community. They all kind of, I just had a lot of energy. I was just like kind of life at the party kind of thing. So, but I put all my energy into my riding. So everyone would come up to my property whenever they weren't at work or on weekends, and I was like rounding everyone up to have barbecues and help me build a foam pit. And
Sick.
And so we built a foam pit literally out of the trees they'd cut down to clear this area to ride. Made that happen, like the backflip, and then the rest is history. But I went to an event, early days, first event, met Rob Adelberg in Wangaratta, Victoria, and met James Dance. I'd like to dedicate this podcast to Dancy, but he recently passed away doing a backflip, which is pretty heavy because he's a solid dude, rad guy, deserved to be spoken about. But he's just one of those guys that had amazing talent. He rode for SRH, which is kind of like Australia's version of Twitch and Scummy. Just tatted out and just didn't give a shit. He has like pretty much looked like Scummy's brother, had like piercings coming out of his lip. And he kind of like was a super talent back in the day, early events. He would I know this podcast is about me, but I might as well tell the story, right?
Yeah, I want to hear all of it, dude.
All right, so that's cool. But yeah, he was like going big when I was riding, right? So he was part of like they did this tour in West Oz called the it was a big air tour. I forget who was sponsored by it, but I can't think of the name right now. But anyway, Lee Holtzman, and there was like all the Australians, like Shuey was there, Jake Bowen, I think the Cole brothers, Noel Cotter, all these guys' names are like from early Aussie FMX days, and Dancy won it, and he was just like this rat bag kid from the West Coast, and so he was like known as going big, and he carried that in his stride, and he's had a good energy, he's a fucking rock star. And I met him, and we decided to go big on that day, that first day, and we pulled a regular ramp out, I think over 130 feet, going knuckleheads, just going 5 feet at a time, boom, 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 just going for it. And we both had stock suspension, and so we were both bottoming out on the up ramp and going to the moon and friggin' greasing this dirt landing. And I ended up doing a sea grab, and he was over the distance, and he was like, "Oh, I'm over it." It was raining. It was in the rain, so he used the rain as an excuse. I kind of beat him. Unfortunately, I think that kind of maybe rustled his feathers a bit, and we became really good friends after that. Stayed with him when I was working, still working as an electrician back then at that time. And I was working in Melbourne, doing some communication stuff. I was doing fiber optics at the time and telecommunication, and I was staying with Dancy on the weekends and riding dirt bikes. And during the week, I had a hotel from work, and I was in the city. And Yeah, we used to fuck with each other a lot, and he ended up painting my bike pink. Just to, like the day I was leaving, they thought it'd be a good idea to paint my bike pink. So I showed this was the color of that Red Bull can.
Dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah, YZ250 was just pink, and man, I came down to pick it up, and they're laughing. I was late. I had to put it on the back of this work truck and drive it 12 hours home, and that was pretty funny. And anyway, Dancy, recently we were on the Freestyle Kings tour. I had my kids there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool to see him again, just like an old buddy from 20 years ago. And he had his kid, and we hugged it out. He come back in the change room, and it was so cool to see him. And he was just pumped. He had the biggest smile I'd ever seen, because he used to kind of get around with his badass look on his face and wouldn't really, I mean, he smiled a lot, but he just, the front was like this badass, but then he was like just a great guy at heart. Yeah, he's such a rad dude. It's such a bummer he's gone. But anyway, story is he did a backflip, wanted to get back into it. I think I inspired him quite a bit. I know I did. And he wanted to surprise me. His goal was to backflip and then come over here on a family holiday and stay here and mooch off me.
And surprise you.
Get the gift back that he let me stay with him and ride here with me and bring his kid over to hang out with my kids. And I only found that after his funeral. But man, he did a backflip, was so stoked on it. We get, like, when you have like riding freestyle motocross, especially, we're riding on for the high, right? And that's why we push at each other, because we want to feel that feeling that kicks in when you do something that you didn't think you were capable of. And I think that's what drives us all to do what we do. And so that happened to Dancy. He did his backflip, and he was just so stoked. He was ripping around the track, just like this beastly energy coming out, and he just whiskey thrown off a berm and hit a tree and passed away.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So it's just the horriblest thing. He was celebrating his victory, something that he'd like was an emotion inside of him that had been built up for 20 years of watching people like me, and doing the talent that he was known for. And then he just didn't follow early on. And then when he, as an older man now, like went back and unleashed that beast and did what he's capable of and got taken away like that instant after it,
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, such a shame.
Damn, dude.
So this one's to Dancy, my man. Love you, brother.
Cheers.
Yeah. Sorry,
I'm sorry to
feel choked up there.
Yeah,
I'm an emotional kind of guy.
Yeah, I am too. I'm sensitive. Yeah, that's a crazy story. I'm really sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah,
it was cool.
It just I mean, I just jumped from telling my story about that period of my life. I was like right at the start.
His story deserves to be told, though.
It does.
It's cool. And your story it's also cool to hear where you came from, because people see where you are.
Yeah.
You have this nice house, this property, all the success and the medals and the achievements and records. But it's nice for people to hear like where people come from. And you have to work to get to where you are.
Yeah. It's something that the younger generation needs to know, because I mean, my kids, I'm proud of them, man. I drill it into them. I feel harsh at times, just like, because I'm telling them like things don't just come easy, You guys have been blessed the way you've been brought up, but this shit don't just happen.
No.
You got born into something that someone worked their fucking ass off for, and it's generations of pain that created this,
It's almost harder for them to realize that, because you came from nothing, so you had a desperation to make it out. And that started as committing your life to a job that you didn't enjoy to make ends meet.
Yeah.
But then you realized this isn't the life I want to live. So you found a path. You saw this emerging culture within moto that you could resonate with. And maybe you weren't going to make it the way that Chad Reed did in racing, but like there's this new path that I can go down. So like, why am I going to spend my life being an electrician doing something that I hate when I could figure out, I'm a good rider. I could figure out how to make this work. And
yeah, man, it's crazy, right? I feel so blessed. And I got to remind myself, because deep down I'm still like this broken kid, and not always, but it's hard for all of us, we all have our own battles. I try to remind myself of that all the time. It doesn't matter what situation you're in. Some of my friends are like the most successful people in the public's eye in the world, and I know they all have battles, so it's I think, and that's where we all connect, because like be able to be around people like that and share the things that we struggle with and be a friend and help out in those times is like what really counts, You know, it's always, everyone's always there to celebrate successes, but it's the down times when the real friends pull through. And you know, this past, I'd say 10 years of my career, people are just waiting on when Maddo's going to retire, you know?
Yeah, dude.
And I don't think it's happening, you know? It's like, I mean,
retire from what? Doing what you love?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, there's no, I retired when I left that electrical job 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And although the path has been grueling, and I'd never stop working, I got to remind myself that, you know, you're never going to reach a destination that you have in your head of like when you can stop. And if you do, it's the day you like seize up at rust and it's the end. You know, one of my good friends, I mean, I've seen these examples along my road, but you know, I've seen people that plan to retire and they finally retire and then they pass away right away.
Yeah. There's no destination, dude.
But I think there's a certain, how do you, once you give up inside, then the fire goes out. And if you ever stand around a campfire in the winter when the fire goes out, you don't last that long, you know. It's freezing. So the work never stops, you know. I think the thing I found is over my career, the more I want, the harder I got to work, and the more uncomfortable I got to put myself into the situations, and that's what kind of makes me just keep going on. Because I mean, I'm trying to do something now that's like so passionate for me that it's somewhat wrecking my life, but it's also driving me forwards, you know. So I'm staying true to that till I see it through.
What do you mean it's wrecking your life?
Well, just emotional, you know, the relationship side of it, you know, meeting new people and trying to put this thing together, and also the business side of it, and stepping into the unknown and doing things I've never done, and being so heavily
just the stress
financed into it as well, you know, just the fact that I'm trying to build something that's bigger than anything I've ever done. And it's like, it's a huge stress. And it's, you know, that kind of stress creates turmoil everywhere.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
But I'm driven to like I'm just always driven to like not settle. Everyone would think, oh shit, you look what you've done. You can just chill. I can't, because I'm like, that's the day that fire goes out.
Yeah.
And the campfire becomes the worst place to sit, you know?
Couldn't agree with you more. I totally respect that. And you mentioned something about, you know, I'm still like the kid that's struggling. And you said a lot of these riders who achieve greatness, they have their struggles too. Do you think that like sometimes this motivation to reach these heights comes from like maybe a void within, from whether it's the past or something that's missing inside of you that you're filling through achieving greatness for yourself, you know?
Yeah, I think that's true. I
because
honestly,
you're finding like self-worth in these achievements that you're chasing. And
yeah, well, you'd think that, right? But then it's like you do these achievements and sometimes you achieve it and it's not the gratifying situation that you'd hope for. It does nothing. Sometimes it even diminishes you more because you work so hard to get to this thing, and sometimes you burn relationships, and sometimes you burn money, and sometimes it doesn't financially work out, and then the risk and everything that you sacrifice to get there becomes part of the equation of like what the end result is. And I remember the first time I broke 2 world records with Crusty Demons in 2005, and I bawled my ass off in the parking lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Just
I
because
was so pissed off on the way home. It was my family. I don't even know if they were there, you know. They claimed they were. They claimed they left early to miss the traffic. It just broke me, you know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, dude. Nobody sees this stuff. They just think it's all like sunshine and rainbows for you guys. It's gnarly.
Yeah, it's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe some jet lagged, but
well, dude, you're sleep deprived. I've had a really rough week too, just so you know. So I feel you, man.
Yeah, but you know what? It's what drives us, what makes us who we are, and I think we all kind of function from our emotional, psychological situations, and it's what drives me forward. So it's sick because you know, it's why we are who we are and what we do. And if it wasn't passionate, it wouldn't be authentic, and then it wouldn't even matter, you know?
Dude, and you wouldn't go anywhere if you didn't have the passion. So.
Yeah. No, I'm stoked.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd love to touch back on where I got to on my story.
I would love that too. Let's do it.
So I met Dancy, right, when I was on freestyle, and then Rob Adelberg as well. Shortly after that, I went and did, that was an amateur event, so I won that. Wasn't many of us there, but after that, I went to an event called, it was a freestyle event. It was in Bacchus Marsh, Victoria, and showed up there, and it was pretty windy, and I'd rent, all my buddies were stoked that I was riding and pumped on how I was going, because a lot of them had helped me kind of get there, as far as like helping me build the course at my house, and kind of, I was the local hero, right, part of the riffraff crew that was doing something. And so then I had this entourage of people that was like from all the towns, because I was friends with everyone, like from Wollongong to Kiama. So I had friends from like, Warilla and Kiama and Dapto, Albion Park, all these areas around my town, all kind of rallying around and following me to these events, and I brought the crowd with me, and it was right before the event. My buddy's like, "You can go to this event or not?" I'm like, "Dude, I can't afford to get there." And they're like, "What?" And I didn't have the car. The car had been impounded by the police, right? So I got no way of getting there. I'm not going to leg it down there by myself. And so like, shit, we'll all come. And so I was telling my buddy about it, about my situation. So I rented a commuter van, a High Aces, like a 12-seater or something like that. And I know a bunch of us piled in there, and we all rolled down. And my buddy at the time, he had a Pigsy. He had a Suzuki RM250, the same as mine. He never rode it, but he had like this mint RM250. So Pigsy, Scrody, Aaron Anderson, and then all the girls, and a couple of dudes I know. My buddy Shooter drove the van, and he was probably the only sober one on the way down there. But we ended up showing up to this event. We had like a KFC bucket, and we'd found a chicken from somehow. So this is like a movie set, right? You could have made a film out of this weekend. But we showed up. This is a freestyle event. We got this pet chicken that we'd found along the way, and then we had it in the KFC bucket. It was just the icing on the cake. It was so funny. And we show up, and there's all these dudes like with their hats sideways and tattooed and all in black. And we showed up, and we're all like got board shorts on. We're from the beach, and we've got all these girls with us. Everything's colorful, and we park like right up where the van's like looking in. It was in a speedway, so it had like the dirt pushed up to like a wall, so the cars can come over, and the fence or whatever. So we drove the van up where it was up high, so you could sit in the van and watch the event. And all the riders are down the back in the cool area. So we're just up on this pedestal at the front, and just no fucks given, and just living. And so it was just such a biggest, I think I was a really big like breath of fresh air at the time for the industry, in my opinion. I was just framing it like that, but maybe I was like pain in the ass guy that showed up, but I was just there, forced to be reckoned with. And I had my buddies, the Daredevil brothers, they were from Wollongong, but they were my leading hand at the time. He was in a band with these dudes, these brothers, and they had a sign company in Wollongong, and so they sprayed me a helmet, and they had a clothing company called Venom Extreme. So I had like this. I'd wear a button-up t-shirt with a collar on it, and I had like these grey flames on it, and it was black with like these silver flames on the shirt, and I had a black helmet that had silver flames they painted for me.
Dude, that's sick.
So I was kind of, and then I just it's kind of like a going out shirt, and had some motocross pants on. It was probably not the best look, but whatever. It was like different. And I had cut down guards, and I bought one of Jono Porter's, rest in peace, Jono. But I bought one of Jono Porter's. Jono Porter was like Australia's, I don't know, Travis Pastrana, I guess, is being claimed at the time. He passed away too, racing accident. But anyway, Jono was out there on the track, and I had one of his old factory bikes. He's a factory Suzuki rider, Supercross, and just extreme talent. He's one of the earliest guys to backflip a dirt bike, and he'd win racing, but then he'd do freestyle as well. Yeah, so that's why he kind of
Travis, yeah.
And so Jono's out on the track, and I'm out there like throwing these big turndowns, and there's a full course. It was like a loop you could do with a ton of different landings, and I was probably one of the only persons going around hitting every single hit and just throwing down. And there was a jump going away from the car park, and all the pros are on the fence kind of watching. And I'm throwing these big turdowns looking straight back at them. What's up, boys? Bringing down, and they wouldn't ride because I was saying it was too windy. So I'm out there just riding my ass off.
Oh, dude.
And pissing everyone off. And anyway, the pros decided not to ride. They said it was too windy to ride. So I was back from, I just hadn't been around people to know that wind was a thing back then. So when we at my house, Mount Maddo, when the wind would blow, I'd just jump into the wind and just have it fade me back, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, pretty loose at that time. And anyway, Jono was like, goes out and you could see this guy riding around. And I still had all these factory graphics on, but I cut all these guards. And so he pulls me on and he's like, who is that? And I'm like, it's Robbie Maddison. He's like, no way. He's like, I didn't know who the fuck is riding my bike. And he goes, where'd you get this song? I said, I bought it from Jay Foreman.
That's sick.
And so Jay was his the owner of the team back then. And so I bought one of Jono's old bikes and cut it down and showed up on it. And so then after that, we were like old friends from racing. So I ended up jumping in the car with him, not after that event, but several weeks later, I got a call up to do freestyle events with Spokes Promotions with Phil Christensen. So we're going to the Supercrosses in Australia, and they'd have the Supercross would be on one night, and then in these indoor arenas, they'd mow the track down and they'd have monster trucks the next night. So me, Bilko, Cam Sinclair, I think Richo at the time, a couple other people would do the freestyle from the motocross or Supercross, and then the next night would do freestyle at the monster trucks.
Oh, so you used to do demos both nights?
Yeah, it was sick setup.
That's super cool.
So I was like, flew in for that into Adelaide, and I think at the time I didn't have a bike. So Yariv Konski, who runs the what are they called, Froth or something like that? That was it's a Honda team out in Australia, but that's who Dean Wilson just rode for and won the championship out there. And Justin Brayton rode for Yariv. So Yariv's legend. So he had Full Throttle Motorsports back then, and I called him up and we'd just met, and I said, Yariv, I'm coming to Adelaide. Travel's a problem. Haven't really got a car technically, you know. It is, but I got one. It's police have it. And so I'm like, can I borrow a bike? And he's like, sure, man, I got a spare bike. So I flew down there and jumped on this Full Throttle Honda. And it wasn't really set up freestyle, but I just winged it back then. And so then from that event, I jumped in with Jono and we drove back to Melbourne with Cam Sinclair and a couple others. And we just on the phone the whole time, just calling random people and just having a great time. And we got back to Melbourne, and I mean, that was just some great memories for me. I could talk for days about them. Yeah. But,
dude, those days when you're starting out and like chasing the dream and like making the dream come true are so exciting.
You got so much energy, right?
So fun.
Yeah. It was killer times back then. I think, that's what made me, was that, right? So then from there, I think it actually, that was before. And then right after that, this event happened in freestyle motocross. It was like it was called Summer X Games. Was it Summer? It was Global X Summer Games. So they invited Chuck Carruthers out, and what I was saying before about when I'd look at these magazines and just get mesmerized by the images. Chuck was one of those riders that he'd just have crazy photos, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I watched the guy ride. I probably and a lot of freestyle guys are kind of like this. They look great in a photograph, but when you watch them ride, they're kind of like styles a bit off, And no harm, no foul to Chuck. I think he's a great person, great rider, but like
he just goes big.
He goes big, and he had some amazing. And he's like one of the creators of a lot of tricks, right? He's done tricks that not many people have ever done, and he invented the Corolla. So it's badass, right? So he shows up, and Chuck Carruthers coming out from America. So the Cole brothers were like they were like the dudes in freestyle motocross. I remember going to the Supercross, watching them ride and being like, oh, these guys, they had baggy pants on, and they were ramp kids, right? And they're great riders. But they were kind of ramp kids. They couldn't ride the Supercross track. So like when I'd go Supercrosses, I'd be out there doing the jump and they're like skipping the whoops and like doing the triple and waving last round knacks and waving the crowd and stuff. And or I should say casing the triple. I was also out there like having some close calls on the Supercross track. Oh, funny.
That's funny.
I was pretty rusty back in those days, but yeah, man, the Cole brothers brought him over, and so I showed up there, and I'd been working on the backflip, and a friend of mine, Noel Downey, who's also passed away, he was a guy that was on the ground taking photo, documenting all this stuff. He was a moderator on FMX Australia with Adam Kamenek, and those guys like were really kind of pinnacle or they were like the backbone of the freestyle community because they were putting everything online that was getting shot, and so freestyle fmxaustralia.com or .au, something like that, was probably one of the biggest online communities of freestyle motocross globally. So like all these US riders all had profiles on this. It was pretty sick because it was kind of in between Facebook Messenger and whatever came after that. Like there's a lot of these websites people would go to and they had like these big communities, right? So that's where a lot of the connections kind of happened. But I think through that was where Cole Brothers and got in touch with a lot of these riders like Chuck, and as Chuck come over, Noel had told me that because I was riding pretty good and I had these big turndowns. He's like, "Do you think you do like a full turn down, like full all the way 360?" And I'm like, I don't know, try it. So I went to this quarry and I was getting to 270 and I was landing sideways, but I was jumping up onto like this in this quarry. We'll get in there on Sundays when they weren't working, but they had like these big,
just a big step up.
Yeah, it was a big pile of like ground rock, whatever, that was kind of sandish, sandstone, and then they had a machine that would like carve it out and go on the conveyor and load the trucks. Or where the front face of where the machine had been carving was just like a big quarter pipe. So we'd like shovel the top of it off so it wasn't vert, and then I'd just boost up it and just huck these things and land up on the soft dirt. And I was kind of getting close. So then I was like, I want to try it to a landing because I think if I could fall that extra bit, I
finish the rotation.
Finish rotation. And I didn't have a foam pit, right? So yeah, and so my buddy Cameron Sturtridge, he lived 9 hours away. He was another guy that was kind of big on the freestyle scene in Australia, and he had a property out at Coonabarabran, which is a long way west of Kiama. So we drove out there and got to his house, and his machine had like blown a hydraulic hose, so he couldn't change what was there. And so I was like, this ramp, and he had this step up, it was out of a creek bed, and it was like stepping up, and so it was like kind of like that, and the landing was up here, so you could jump and fall a little bit. So kind of a good setup. I was like, dude, the takeoff's like a rut. I need something that's like flat and like probably a few feet wide so I can carve it, and no machine. So I'm like jumping a bit more, and I'm like, if anything, this is like perfect for a backflip. And then this guy drove me out there from Free Rider magazine. He's like, why don't you come all this way for nothing, do a backflip so I get some shot, you get a shot. So I was like, fuck, is this really happening?
Had you ever practiced one in like a foam pit or anything?
No, I'd done it on a BMX bike into the water.
Okay, so you knew the feeling.
I knew the feeling, but
it's different.
It's different, and the feeling that you have on a BMX bike in the water, your nerves aren't as high, so you're not like on that edge as much, and I think the awareness is a lot different. So when you kind of like going in the water, your awareness isn't as sharp because the consequences aren't as high, so you're kind of just a bit more not paying attention as much. So when I was the thing that's vivid in my mind is when I decided, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go for this backflip. It was like prior to that I had like kind of like the evil the two talking
angel and the devil,
yep. And like this guy's like, you can go back to work, you don't have to do this, and it's like, you want to live your dream, this is what you got to do, and I was like, damn, like I'm just having this internal mental battle, like, do I quit and go back to working, or do I try this and try to be a freestyle motocross rider? That was like the decision I was making in my head, because I feel like this is going to either make me or break me, right?
Right, because like when the backflip became a thing, it really was make or break for a lot of people, because like now there's no avoiding it. If you wanted to make it in freestyle, you either had to
have a backflip
or move on. And a lot of people moved on because they weren't willing to flip.
That's right. I mean, it's sad to say. And one of my really good friends, but Dane Tenard, like he was top of the game. And I think just the backflip kind of became a critical thing for him. And
Even like Drake McGilroy,
Yeah.
like dudes like that. They were like good riders that
Yeah.
were just like, they're not going to do that.
Yeah. That's crazy because it's like, yeah, anyway. But yeah, so I was in that situation and I was like, I don't know, I had the ability to turn it off, right? And I just switched it off and I was like, I'm going for this. And I remember riding, just thinking, I can't believe I'm going to do this. And I was like, here we go. And I was, and as I went around, that, like I said before, that awareness was different. So as I come off, I just started noticing the sky. And I remember seeing the sky and the horizon meet. And I was like, oh shit. And I just bailed off.
Oh,
That flip, those tripped me out, seeing
just because, yeah,
the
just
sky,
felt so unnatural.
the sky meet the ground upside down. And so I bailed out and then I finished the rotation. I landed on my feet. My bike landed next to me.
You were okay?
Yeah, I was on my feet and I only dropped like, probably 6 feet or something from the height of my jump. And so I was like, oh shit, we got around. So boys like, yeah, it was like one of those moments. So I got back on, rode around, went for it again. The next time I pulled too hard and the bike flipped out away from me. So I landed holding onto the bike, but I was in a Superman and I kind of, I bailed 3 times. The 4th one I landed it. Then I think actually the 3rd time I tried it, I was on the phone to Jono when I was going out there and he goes, I heard you going for a backflip. And I go, yeah. And he goes, have you got a spare bike? And I'm like, no. And he goes, well, how are you going to do the backflip? I'm going to go, on the bike I've got. And he goes, dude, you're going to wreck it trying it. He's like, you're going to destroy your bike. You need a spare bike. You need part. Have you got any spares? I go, I've got nothing. I only got a clutch lever. He's like, bro, you're not going to be able to do it. He's like, you must as well save your time to and go home. I'm like, fuck, I'm just going to wing it. And so then I pull up there. Anyways, the 3rd jump, he was right. My bike literally bent the subframe to the left. Like, it was so gnarly. And like, day's over, right? I'm like, nope. I was like, you got a fence post? And he got one. And I was like, yeah. Just bend it. And I literally bent it back. And like, with the leverage of like big. And I was just getting on. I'd see my dad do it, like in a grab and rock racing, see the dads do it. Just bent the subframe back with the pole. Left the muffler bolted onto the subframe, so I bent the muffler back with it.
Ooh, smart.
And and then bolted all back up, and good to go again. And 4th time stuck it, and then I did 14 in a row.
No way.
Yeah, and I think that was like the thing that made it for me. Is like I didn't just do one. I was banged them out, and then the next day my buddy's like, he goes, yeah, I kind of missed a shot. He's like, it was like sun was going down and it was like right in the end, like bad light. He goes, can we do it again? I was like, we want to get a good shot of this. So and we'd celebrated that night.
He missed it 13 times?
Yeah. Well, just the
it's
lighting.
Just the timing.
Yeah, just the lighting,
the timing.
And just the quality of the camera. Back then, I was like the old Super 8s, whatever they're called. Anyway, so I did the next day, did like another 13 or something. And then that was kind of it. I had it in my head. And then we left there and I showed up at this Planet X Games with Chuck Carruthers was at. And there was a super kicker there. And the week before that, I was trying to get onto this guy, buddy of mine, Anthony Collins, who was good friends with Noel Cotter, who was like Sydney's kind of FMX guy, the top dude from Sydney. They had Noel had a super kicker. And so I was asking him to be able to get onto it before the event, and weather didn't work. We got down to this property in Dapto, and it just wasn't happening. And I kind of had a load of hay showed up. So back in those days, we'd like cover the landing with hay, like kind of like 3 or 4 feet of hay. So it was just like all
little
soft,
softer.
So I never did it. And then I showed up for the event, super kicker's there, and I never even hit a super kicker yet. So I'm just looking at this ramp and I'm looking at the landing as just dirt. And I'm just like closing my eyes and just picturing myself doing a backflip.
Visualizing it.
Yeah. And I visualized it the whole day. And I showed up, it was the day before the event. So I just kind of visualized it the whole day. Went home that night. I stayed at a friend's house and then I just visualized it the whole night. Like everyone was kind of sitting in the lounge room talking, and I'm like in the bedroom, like on the bed with my eyes closed, rolling backwards on the bed, trying to picture myself going around. And showed up the next day and did practice, and they were waving the red flag. The practice is over, and I just kept going around. I was just jumping, hitting the super kicker and looking up, and everyone knew I was like thinking, and all the other guys who'd the kind of industry back then, the riders had shined me a bit, just because I was different and I was a threat. So they're like, get him off the course, and they're creating this whole big scene backstage. And the guys like red flagging me. I had to keep coming over this landing where the guy that was red flagging was standing. And I kept riding past him, and they go, get in. And they're all yelling at the fence. And I was like, that was kind of the motivator. I turned, I was like, fuck this. I was like, all right, and just stuck. I think I did did 2 flips in that session. Then I came in, and then every time I went on the course that whole weekend, I kept flipping, and I did like another 13.
Sick.
But that was the first time to dirt. But I think one of them along the way, I pulled a bit early and got a bad rotation. I bailed off and wiped my bike, like folded the subframe again. And so everyone's like, "Oh man, this is such a shame you can't ride," dang it. And they didn't realize I'd just been sponsored by Honda. So Gavin Orr, who's he's a big football agent in Australia. He's like a childhood friend of my dad. He grew up next door to my dad, so he trying to take me under his wing, and he got me sponsored by Honda midweek. So I showed up with 2 brand new CR250s. So
Sick.
I just unbolted the 4 bolts on
Switched the
CR,
subframe?
pulled the subframe off,
Perfect.
went to the car, unbolted another one. I came back on, walking past everyone with
Everyone's
a
like,
brand new subframe.
damn it.
Like, I plugged this thing in, put all my stickers on upside down to let them know they'll slip in.
Oh, that's sick.
Went back out there and just kept flipping. And so I won that event. And then after that, I got asked to join Crossy Demons.
Sick.
And that was kind of that was a breaking point for me of like,
when you did that first flip, you said like you were feeling terrified, but there's something that flipped in your mind and you're like, I'm just going to do it anyways. Was that like a turning point for your mentality, like moving forward?
I think so, because that situation happens a lot, right? You're always facing that situation where you got the
With
demons
what
in
you
your
do,
head.
especially.
With what I do, and I think a lot of people in different sports, especially everyone in action sports and like gymnasts and I mean anything like diving and stuff like that. I mean even golf, and that's why I love golf, and a lot of us do, is like it has that mental game to it, and it's all technique, right, and timing. Anyway, so yeah, I think that has definitely been a pinnacle for me. One of the other things that's helped a lot is learning to meditate and just turning the mind off. Because when I meditate, it's like it's turning that mind off. It's turning that internal narrative off. The prefrontal cortex is just running a constant narrative and judging yourself and talking negatively to yourself. Being aware of that voice, turning it off, also telling it to speak positively to yourself.
I want to dive into meditation 100%.
Yeah.
I think it's a big part of the direction you took your riding.
100%.
Obviously you started in this direction of like freestyle. And then eventually there was a turning point where you kind of went down a different path of like setting records, doing never before seen or done or thought of stunts and jumps. How did you shift from being like a freestyle rider doing demos and contests to I'm going to take this new path that's more like Daredevil, record setting, never been done jumps? What was the spark behind that?
Well, when you work with Robbie Maddison, you always get more than you ask for. It's just something I do, right? It's like I always go above and beyond to just do the best job I can do. It's just how I'm bred, and I think that's been pretty much the reason why I got my career to where it's at. And obviously because of my wife as well. So I've just had incredible support with Amy. But ultimately, I always want to do the best job. I think that's instilled in me from my dad. And it was just something that you always do is like, just fix a car, you put all the tools away, you clean the shop at the end of it, And so like when I built the water bike, I remember my garage being a mess, and my buddy has helped me out, Jamie Patelli. Muggs was kind of over how much of a mess my garage was, but I was like, dude, I'm in the middle of fucking creating something, like leave me alone. And then we come out the next morning and the ski was done and the whole garage was spotless. And then I think he realized I do have work ethic. It's just like I was in the middle of a fucking grind when he walked in, And anyway, but yeah, I think that part of me has been the part that's like made it. But the world record thing, it wasn't really a transition that was like freestyle. That's literally how I got in, because when Krusty's asked me to join, they asked me to join for the freestyle ability because Chris Foreman was at Planet X Games when I did those 13 backflips, and he, after the event, I won. I mean, Chuck won, I think, the best trick because he did like a one-handed ruler. I've never done one, but Chuck does some amazing tricks. But I won the King of FMX, and then Chris Foreman was Krusty Demons, and he came up to me after. He goes, "Hey man, I'm from Krusty Demons. You want to join the tour?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" This is like one of my dreams. It's like from that kid that I told you about before that watched like Luke Urek and Twitch turn down synchro in Krusty's, and now I finally got asked to join Krusty's. So that was one of the earlier things. And first, I mean, it took a couple of years, but I got in there. And And I think I was the third Aussie to ride for it after Chuck and after Dane and Luke Urach, who are pioneers and paved the way, and still some of my best friends to this day. So shout out to those boys. They're legends. But yeah, the invite came as like to do freestyle, and then I heard that it was called the Night of World Records. It was the first event, and I wanted to have a shot at the world record jump. So I convinced him to give me a shot. Seth was meant to do the world record jump, and he broke his wrist on the Metal Militia tour, like just prior to that. So he was out, and I didn't realize, but they'd replaced Seth with Trigger Gum and Larry Linkogel, and I had no idea. I just put my hand up, and they're like, "How do you know you can jump this?" And I was like, "Well, I've done this like 180-foot dirt double, and it's no ramp. You just got to huck a 180-foot dirt." And I built the thing, and I jumped it. Yeah, it was
You're like, I can do it.
Yeah, no, I wanted to say, thanks to Peter Yates for having our back in Australia. Yatesy, this one's for Kai too. His son Kai passed away, but Yatesy he gave me the opportunity to build that big dirt jump, and he's still a great friend today and a legend, someone I always catch up with when I'm back home. But Yatesy, he saw me at Big Day Out, and he came up, and I was on the freestyle event. He said, "Hey Robbie, I bought Nick Wilson's property up in Kiama if you want to build a jump up there." And I grew up with Nick riding at his house, and his mum would never let us even take a shovel to the property. And now we had dozers and stuff up there, and Pete's like, "You can build whatever you want." I knew the landscape. I'm like, "Dude, down the hill there, let's build a big ramp before it, and I'm going to boost down that hill." So that was a 180-foot dirt double, but the hill had a kind of like a rise to it. So there was like one section that it kind of came down the hill, then rose, and then it went back down. So you like jump to this one, then get the courage and like huck it all over. And so I'd done that, and then when Krusty's had this night world record, I didn't have footage of it because we were always too busy riding, but I had friends that would vouch for me, so I finally convinced them to let me do this jump. And
you knew you had the comfort to go big because you had been doing it at this property.
I've been doing knack-knacks and Supermans at like 180 feet, and so that's really kind of like convinced them to give me a shot. And then that night I did the world record for the longest jump on a 125 and the longest Superman seat grab, 246 feet. And so that was like when I came to America right after that tour, because I met Larry and McKellar at the time, and McKellar and Amy became friends, and the girls, like Amy's brother Josh Sanders, got me a gig with the doing freestyle with Shane Trittler on at like Wakestock up in, I think in Sacramento or something. So we went up there, and I borrowed one of I think it was one of whose bike was it? Oh, it was Trigger's bike. I borrowed one of Trigger's CR250s, and went up there, did Wakestock, backflipped Shane Trittler's mobile landing metal truck, and setting 5 foot, and was one of the first guys to be doing flipping portables out here, and kind of got a bunch of demos lined up. And so we came for a trip to America, and we never left. But it was crazy. But yeah, that because I'd done those world record jumps when I came to America, and then I started talking with Red Bull in America. I had all these big ideas, right, of doing all this stuff, and that's how we got to Vegas.
And then just one thing led to another. And I'm sure these one-off, stunts and events that you were putting on, I'm sure Red Bull and yourself realized like how big this could be. So you just kind of continue down that road.
Yeah, it's crazy to think of. It's
what's going through your mind, like when you're Arc de Triomphe?
Arc de Triomphe, yeah.
Arc de Triomphe. When you're doing a jump like that for the first time, you mentioned like this angel and demon on your shoulder, or like say you're jumping over a canyon, or like setting a world record. What's going through your mind leading into that jump, like moments before you're about to hit?
I had to control that internal noise, the voices in my head, because they were trying to talk me out of it, But my heart and everything I'd ever dreamt for when I was dreaming, I'd have these massive dreams, right, of like being in this position I was in. And then when that moment comes, you're like, oh, no, I'm not ready for it. I'm stupid for thinking that. Oh, this isn't meant for me. And so it's easy to talk yourself out of like doing the thing that you actually dreamt of, right? And so that was my biggest fear, is like don't give up on the dream that you had, because after this is over, you've worked so hard to get this opportunity.
It's almost scarier to give up on the dream than it is to do the jump.
Well, that's what it has to be, right? You have to make it scarier to give up on the dream than to do it, because if you give up on it, because it's the scariest thing at the time is to do the jump, but after is like, you really want to face the demons inside of your head after it, because that shit will kill you.
It's worse.
Yeah, and I was mindful of that, because I've we all have demons, so I still want to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
So easier for me to just keep going down this crazy route than dealing with my demons. So I just kept living the passion and living from the heart. But I think one of the times when it really hit me was I went through a lot of psychological progression to do the jump in Las Vegas, and that was kind of like helped and guided by Ryan Hughes, who's a great teacher of motocross and great teacher of functional movement, and
even mentality a little bit.
Yeah. I think
mental toughness.
The stuff to learn from Ryan a lot. He speaks some very wise words. And anyway, so I listen to a lot of the stuff that he says. Not all, but a lot. And so he's still a great friend of mine, and still supports me, and still is a badass, and still someone I look up to and appreciate. But he got me super strong, and I was in the best condition I've ever been, and he introduced me to Paul Check, who helped me realize what's actually going on in your head. Paul's an amazing he has a Czech practitioner, so you can become a licensed Czech practitioner. He teaches holistic medicine. He's phenomenal, amazing human being. Check him out online. He's cool. But
Paul Check.
Yeah, check it out.
Sick.
Paul Check. But yeah, so Paul, he'd helped Danny Way a lot. He's helped so many athletes, right?
Is he just helping physically or like with the
physical and mental?
Both.
Yeah, both. He's got a lot. He's got everything, every answer you need. He's got it. Like, he's saved my career. Get into that a little bit later, but I was like, literally, Western medicine have written me off for my life, and Paul saved me. But anyway, so Paul showed me a lot of ways, and so I ended up kind of progressing a lot mentally, and started meditation and spiritually kind of just developed a lot, and because I had this, like, I was like, all of a sudden I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Right? I'm doing all this crazy shit, and I'm in America now, and now I'm signing up to do a jump that I've never even practiced. I've never even done it before. I just had this vision because I asked for it in my meditation to appear to me after books I'd read, and I was on this deep dive of like I was going to the self-help sections in bookstores and just buying books. I couldn't read enough. Eckhart Tolle, fucking all kinds of authors. But I was in a period where I was just sitting in my sauna, just reading books flat out, right? And I was on this quest to learn more. I was so nourished by it. I'd never read either, and I was just reading. And Ryan was like, read this book, read this. So we're on the similar path, right? And that's why we bonded so much. But I was training with him. I was getting inspired by him. He was feeding me books. I was reading books. And the literature kind of helped me find more answers, because you don't just find it doing the same shit every day, right? So I was on this quest to find out like what the purpose of life was, why I'm doing what I'm doing, who I am, what it's about, psychologically, spiritually, and started like meditating and having out of body experiences and doing breath work and all this kind of cool, nourishing shit that's like just makes you realize that we're way more than just our physical beings, right? So
100%.
When I tapped into that, I realized, like, man, you're living out this dream, and you are what you create. You are your thoughts, and so
suddenly the things that the demon is saying on your shoulder, you can tune that out a lot easier.
You can with practice. And what I started doing, like after reading a lot, was like I ended up putting the books down, and I just needed to turn my mind off, right? And so I just had to start practicing what I was preaching, and that's like the hardest part, because it's easier to have all this knowledge and just spit it out, but if you're not actually practicing it, then it's like no one. So then like speak when you're spoken to kind of thing. So I try to practice that a lot, like try to. If you see me somewhere, most of the time you're not gonna get much out of me, but when it's asked from me, then I like to talk about it. Anyway, so but yeah, the that kind of period there led me onto this stuff, and so then when I was able to do that jump, the silence was was really blissful because I was just aware of the sound of my engine. I was aware of the wind. I was aware of the crowd. I was aware of like everything, the dew point. I was going to take it all on point. I was just like really in the moment. And
You're talking about the Vegas jump.
yeah. And then so like I was just aware, like I feel the slight crosswind just touching this side of my face, like just very present. And so, yeah, I walked through that jump and I just turned the fear off, and I'd practiced it a bit. I hadn't done the jump down because in the
That's the scary one, dude.
In the practice, I had done the jump down in the practice, but the landing was 3 times taller the landing was 1/3 the height of the building in the practice. So it was 7 stories tall, the landing. So when I started the practice, the jump was 5 stories and my ramp was 3 stories. And so I was hitting the ramp, jumping up 2 stories, and then I'd have to ride down the stairs. Then we went up to the next level, which took a couple of hours for the scaffolding crew to raise the deck and support it. And then I'd ride down the stairs. And then eventually, once we got to the 7th store, then I could ride down the landing. That was fun. I was doing night nosies down it, And then as we went up, then I could jump into the landing. But then as it kept going up, now the landing had to come out. And it was just a visual thing that I was like, nah, pull it out a bit more. I'm like, yeah, that seems right. And then I realized, all right, now it needs. And then I realized how much further to pull it out based off of what I was looking at. So there's no real calculations. It was just me kind of making the call, right? And then we got to this point where I was obviously doing 10 stories. But I had this big, like, kind of landing that you could mess up if you went off there too fast, but you couldn't really underjump it. And if it just went off at the speed I knew, I was pretty much destined to land somewhere on that face. So after replicating it at the full height and then going back at night and replicating it at nighttime, which was a scary call because I put the boots on that I was going to wear on the night, and they were fresh boots. So when I went up the first time in the fresh boots, when I rode up the takeoff, I rode the rear brake without knowing because I was so stiff.
Whoa.
And I'm like, cased the takeoff. I was cased the jump. I kind of come up with that and went boom.
Whoa.
And there was like a big padding on the knuckle, and the rear tire grabbed the padding and rode me over it.
Whoa, dude.
It was such a close
That's
call.
so scary.
It was so scary. But I'd learned how to fall. So I went to stunt school and I climbed up like 75-foot Yerkes Circus. It's in LA. Bob Yerkes, I think his name is, but he's a legendary in the stunt community. But I climbed up this ladder that was like 70 feet tall, and eventually got myself to the point where I was staying there blind and falling backwards 7 stories.
Just to get the feeling.
Yeah, and landing in an airbag. And on the night, we didn't have an airbag there, but behind my ramp, dressed in material, was a box pit. So it's all cardboard boxes stacked in this special way the stunt guys know, but there's an algorithm to it that you stack them with flats and then with boxes and fold them certain ways, and that dissipates your fall. And so if anything went wrong, if I did case on the night, I had at least a catch area to survive. And luckily I didn't have to use that, but
the scariest thing in that situation is the overjump, which you almost did.
yeah, so speaking about that, so because of on this night ride in the practice, I had this thing, I'm like, I didn't want visually to look like a parkour athlete, a skateboarder, a mountain bike rider. They're like, we hit bigger stuff than that out in the hills. So I didn't want it to look like it was only a 20-foot drop, because in theory, I only had dropped 3 stories and I was at the start of the takeoff ramp. So I'm like, let's take the 25-foot here out and make it just half the height of the building. And Dane Heron, who's helping me move the ramp and doing that work with the ramps, he'd said, Maddo, he's like, you've never landed, the slowest you've ever been, you've never landed in that first 25 feet. You've always been at the 50 foot or lower. So even if you take that out, the slowest you've ever gone, you've never actually landed that high. So even though visually it was a flat deck with this sharp knuckle and it looked just like death.
Scary.
Oh, it was heavy. I'll twitch about it when you see him. But he was like, fuck that, dude. We climbed up there. He was scared climbing up the ladder to get on top of the roof.
Yeah.
And then we got there and we're laying on the edge looking over, and he's like, there's no fucking way. He's like, what are you thinking? And it was like, if you stand up and stand on the edge, it looks a lot better. But he's like, I'm not standing close to that edge. But anyway, so we took the knuckle off, and then it was in Vegas when I got there. It was the first time I visually seen what that would look like. And I was just like, dude, this looks like death, And so,
oh my God.
So yeah, that's why I overshot it on the way down. Because even though I knew I just had to go as slow as I'd ever gone and I'd be fine. And you
did not want to case that.
You didn't want to case it. So I just give it that little bit extra just to be sure. And that little bit extra put me in the base. And that's when when I landed there, I pulled my thumb off my hand and I didn't break the bone, but I just tore all the skin and all the muscle.
But you wrote it out, dude.
Wrote it out, and that was thanks to Rhino. So all the training I'd done, all the core work, like we were on those round balls, we were jumping on those balls. So like the ball would be in the gym, couldn't do it now, but back then I'd jump onto it and be able to balance. Then I'd have one arm with the kettlebell and the other arm with the wobble bar, and doing like these
core stability,
and then with on the balls, throwing medicine balls at each other, jumping from ball to ball. Like we were so in balance and in tune. It was awesome.
So when you landed and your arm blew off, you were able to have the
subconscious
awareness and stability to pull it back.
Yeah.
That's
and I
sick.
remember sliding, looking like it's like everything's like and slowed down. And I remember seeing everyone's knees and ankles and thinking, I can't believe I'm crashing in front of the world. And as I was sliding and noticing, oh, nice Joe, nice socks, nice shoes. I was kind of like that. I was like, I had that presence. So I just remember seeing all these knees and legs and just, I can still see it now, but seeing like naked legs and jeans and then high heels and then like sliding off of, so it went over the parking lot, and as I was sliding, as I went off over where the parking lot was, there's a little ramp down, and the practice never had that. So it's kind of like bummed, but it was nothing we could change. But I'm like, it's not how I actually practice it. It's a bit different, but that's what saved me. As I was sliding out of control, I went off that edge, and it was just enough to, and it stood the bike up. And as I was thinking, I'm crashing, and I can see these legs in front of the world. This is the worst situation ever. Boom, I'm up. I'm like, what the hell?
What a good feeling.
It was insane. So that's when I pulled up and Amy came in and hugged me. That's why my hands got on my head, and I went down and I just burst into tears.
Can't believe it.
It was like my life's pain just got released, right?
Wow.
And I was stoked after that one.
Yeah, that one was so heavy because there was two elements to it. Like the first one is scary, but then you get to the top and there's no turning back. And the scariest part is the next step, jumping off. And like that must have just felt so crazy as you were circling around the top, looking over the edge, getting a feel for it. Talk about having that like presence of mind to just commit and do it anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it was all the work of the year,
and the pressure. The whole world is watching. You can't back out now.
Yeah, I wasn't even really thinking of that, right? But I was just like, it was just everything that I worked towards. I mean, it'd been years of was in the making, like from being that electrician, being that school kid.
Mm-hmm. You're doing it for that kid.
All exactly. It was all that stuff, and it was like, and I, left my life in Australia to come out here to follow a dream with my partner, my wife at the time. We just got married right before it, and it was crazy. But it was just, at the time, I just knew I had to be in third gear. So once I was up there, I looked down and
you knew the routine.
Yeah, I knew what gear I had to be in. So I just that's why I circled the top a few times. So I just wanted to make sure I was in third because there wasn't much room to kind of get into third. So I made sure I was in third gear, and I was like, and you have that time when you circle. I could have circled up there all day, but I was like, all right, here we go, and just like turn the mind off, and I was like, whew. And then once you do that, then it's like this presence and this awareness comes about you. Then you're like, if you're not used to turning off, you're so uncomfortable because there's no thought. So now you are aware of the pressure on each foot. Now you are aware of your arms and your breath. And then now all these other things jump in your mind that wants to turn the thing back on again to like be aware. So there's like this, it's layers of layers that you need to penetrate through before you can actually turn the thing off in the moment when it comes.
Does it feel like everything slows down when that happens? Like, do these stunts you're doing in the moment, does it feel slow? Or is it?
I think the flow state kicks in is like, it's not like you're in flow state the whole time. You're like maintaining a level of awareness. The flow state kicks in when your subconscious like needs to like fire right away, right? And it's just like in that moment of panic, it's in that stress. It's like
it's almost survival.
Yeah, it is. It's when the threshold of like intensity goes to that next realm. Like riding around before it is like it's like low heart rate stuff kind of stuff, and then but when you come off, that's the flow state kicks in when you're just like, and now you're in the. That's when the time stands still. Like that drop took way longer for me mentally than it, because as soon as I went off, I was like, oh, I'm dead. First thing that I was like, I'm fucking dead.
Oh my God.
And so I roll all the way down. I was like, falling to my death in front of the world
because you thought you were gonna land flat.
Sliding like, no, I've crashed, and then, like I'm alive, but I've crashed, and then
you didn't.
I'm like, no fucking way, dude. And it was like, that was the commitment, the hard work, everything that like the months of like committing and just showing up at rhinos and going through all the shit is what paid off. So,
Dude, speaking of like these heavy moments, sometimes you don't save it, right? I know you've probably been close to death a few times.
I have. I've actually died 5 times.
You've died 5 times.
Yeah.
Can you share one of those experiences?
Yeah, I should. So I got viral meningitis, viral encephalitis, spoke about it earlier, right? So I was on my deathbed. And then I developed secondary impact syndrome after that. So then every time I had a traumatic head injury, a TBI, I would have seizures. And then I would my heart would stop beating. And so then I had to be revived. And that's why my freestyle career kind of stopped, because I couldn't take the risk of riding, because I couldn't just go ride in the hills with the boys. If I crashed out there and had a head injury, I was probably going to die out there. And so that just changed like what I could actually do safely, But then I had quite a long break, and I had a head injury at Fitz's house, and I thought, I'm going to die. I'm going to have a seizure. And I put my helmet on, I pinned it home, hoping I'd get home before the seizure kicked in. And it never kicked in. So that was great. And then, but my freestyle career slowed down a lot because of that underlying health issue, which I think I've passed it now. I had another head injury not long ago in the front yard when I rode without cutting my guards down, and I went for a double grab and there was no grab holes and I missed the bike.
Oh my God.
And I knocked myself out there and I didn't seizure. So I think I'm touch wood, but I think that's gone now. So that's a great thing. But for a period of time there, that was especially the start in the early days, I got so lucky because like first days at Kings Point down at Bateman's Bay, we'd go down, Ulladulla. There's a place called Kings Point. I think Ben Parise had built it. Ben was a legend, like supercross rider back then, and he'd built these gnarly jumps out in the bush, and people would go down and hit him. And that's where I learned freestyle motocross, but also where I had my first seizure.
So your heart would actually stop.
Yeah.
You would technically
die. Yeah. So I've died now 5 times.
Did you have an experience of that?
Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason why I went into this kind of, because I knew that there was something on the other side. So like, you want Spiritual Matter to come out?
Yeah. Dude, I just interviewed a guy who had an NDE on a motorcycle, and it was fascinating.
Yeah. So with the TBIs, traumatic brain injuries, when I have them in the past, it's led to 5 deaths. And the last one is probably the most memorable one. But I remember of it, the first memory was waking up in Inland Valley Hospital going, what the fuck am I doing back here? I was just having the greatest time on the other side. I was in touch with every great memory, feeling like it was a life of bliss on the other side. I was just in touch with everything you could imagine. I was just in this kind of vortex floating. And it's similar experience if you do like ketamine therapy. Which
was there a visual element? Could you see?
Yeah, visual. I was like, I don't remember too much visual of, but I just remember I was experiencing, I was in touch with everything. I was just in my happiness. It was like a 5-dimensional world kind of thing that was just so enriching and peaceful and blissful that I was just in total harmony out there. And I was in touch with everything that I wanted to do. Not that I was actually physically seeing it, because I don't think you go back there and have a human experience. We're just having this human experience now, but we're energies that we're the universe, right, inside of us. And so when I woke back up, I just felt, and maybe I was just on this flat plane of just a very simple, I don't know, it just seemed very dull and boring, but I was like, realized I had much more work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's why we're here, to do that work.
To do the work, to evolve. And that's what I learned through Paul Chek and through Doug, that we're spiritual beings and we're here to live out our life forms. And this may sound weird, but I'm here and I have the ability to reach enlightenment on this journey if I make the right decisions. So that's like one thing that's really resonates with me when I'm like making decisions is like whether this is, but maybe decisions I make are all part of me learning to be able to leave the body. But I think what I've been explained is when your body's ready to step over, if you pass and you're not, and you go for the light when you pass, then you kind of step back into lining up for another human experience to learn it again. And then you keep repeating that cycle until you learn to not go for the light in choice of death and to stay on that side. And I think I just followed the light and I came back, I was like,
So it felt almost like a conscious choice to come back.
I mean, maybe subconsciously.
Like your work wasn't done here.
It wasn't done. And that's when I woke up and I was in Inland Valley. I saw all the man-made stuff again and just our man-made environment that we're so used to just accepting. But it was, I was like, ugh, back here. And I was like, fuck. And I was kind of bummed and I was angry. And I was angry for a long time when I woke up. It was kind of bad. And Amy stuck by me, said props to her. She's amazing, superwoman. But yeah, a form of me came back that was very bitter for a while. And that's part of the reason why I do what I do too, because it's like if I stop, then I'm like, I'm not following everything that's possible out there for me to achieve. And it's like, what the hell? I'm here to do the work, So we have this human experience, like do the human experience, be it, be what your life's calling is. And that's here to promote that. Like you have this voice inside of you, this heart's desire. You got to follow that. Otherwise, you're going to keep coming back until you have the balls to do it. And then until you have the balls and learn all the lessons that's going to teach you, then you can't evolve, is how I look at it. So that's why I'm here to, anything that comes up, it's like a challenge of me to like, not anything that comes up, but like the heart's desire of what I want to do has not changed since I've been a kid. Cause I remember what those dreams were as a kid. I want to fly, like want to jump, want to be like this motorcycle rider. And that's why I'm wingsuiting, and that's why I'm flying aircrafts, and that's why I'm jumping my dirt bike and all these things that are like scary to most. I mean, but it's not.
It's what you're born to do.
It's what I was born to do. And I'm not saying it's for everyone, but follow your heart's desire is what Mad Will's about, It's like we all have a will to live, but you have your mad will to face the demons inside of you and be the best version of yourself. That's what Mad Will is about, my brand.
Foreign Rider is my favorite apparel brand, hands down. Founded by my friend Ralph Dunning, a pioneer in the apparel industry with over 30 years of experience, he built this company for people like us, riders, explorers, creators, those who live active lives and need gear that can keep up. When I'm training, I wear the Odyssey collection. It keeps me cool, dry, and performing better for longer. When I'm traveling or just relaxing at home, the Solace collection is my go-to for unmatched comfort. But the real standout for me is the Merino base layers. They keep you warm, dry, and feeling perfect under a waxed canvas jacket for those cooler rides. And when it's hot, like it is here in Florida, the Odyssey long sleeve tee keeps me super cool and comfortable all day long. The fit, the feel, the quality of these products is on another level. And that's why I literally wear them every single day. Foreign Rider isn't just clothing, it's a mindset. A reminder to live with intention, to choose quality over quantity, and the exploration of freedom, whatever freedom means to you. Check out the full collection at foreignrider.com. Once you wear it, there's no going back. I've heard very similar stories from people who have had near-death experiences. It's always like, did you experience like flashbacks of your life too? Like any like moments of like seeing the past?
I mean, I've done a lot of spiritual work with like shamans and stuff. So I've been through all that, So I think when that time came, I didn't have to go readdress all that stuff because I'd already processed all that through other spiritual kind of endeavors. But I was, I'm this kid at the time, like I'd just done Pipe Dream. We'd finished filming it, hadn't released yet. And then I crashed on the BMX bike out here and I got knocked out for like 3 minutes and I came to. And my buddy Sam Trimming, thanks Sammy, saved my life. But I seizured in the house and was flipping around like a fish out of water and was choking on my tongue. And Sam pulled my tongue out of my mouth, put me in recovery position. Amy and the kids called the paramedics. They came and put me in the ambulance and they got to the bottom of the hill and it stopped. And they're like, what's going on? And they were in there paddling my chest with a clear boom.
Whoa.
Like I'd actually gone into cardiac arrest. And
that's crazy. It's fascinating that death is like the scariest thing that people contemplate. And anyone who has experienced it says that there's such a like loving warmth and like positive, peaceful
Yeah.
feeling when that happens, which is very reassuring and interesting. And it's interesting that so many people have the same experience. It
Yeah,
tells
I
you
think
there's
it's true,
something
man.
there,
We
man.
do. We just leave our physical bodies and we go into the spiritual realm, and that's where all the energy exists. And you can tap into it when you're in deeper meditations and stuff. And not that I'm a guru of it, but I've had some experiences that are pretty wild. But it's yeah, I think deep down, like being able to like understand what your purpose is key. And for me, I think for all of us, it's following our dream.
Did this experience change the way you lived your life, like moving forward? Or did you just keep doing what you always have done?
It made me like, because a lot of people go, why do you keep doing what you do? And it's like, hearing this story, it should become clear, because it's like, it's made me realize that I'm here to do this stuff. It's what my purpose is. It's what I'm good at. It's what I love. So it made me like reassure, or maybe gain more purpose in what I do, and not be so like I'm in great health now. I feel awesome. I haven't had any head injuries or had any kind of that's like, for me, I've healed from that. That was over 15 years ago, my last experience. So it's been some time, and I feel great. And so just giving me more purpose, more clarity. And I'm bringing up 3 amazing boys, that need their dad, and
It's like a whole
my
new
wife
level of
needs
purpose, man.
support. Yeah, and it's like making you aware of like compassion side of things, and like there was a period in my life that I was so driven to just try to be recognized, kind of thing, which I think came from from my past, of like not being able to talk about as a rider. Like I went through all my school with no one knowing that I rode dirt bikes, and I was one of the top in the country, and no one else could pull off that level of secrecy. But I was like, we hid the bikes because we didn't want them to get stolen, because my dad and parents couldn't afford to replace them. So it was always something that never got spoken about. Like it was a top secret, kept it secret for 10 years. No one knew that I rode bikes. Like even people I grew up with, when I was like at Krusty's and watched Twitch and Urek do that, I was like, I used to ride with that guy. None of my friends were like, shut up, dude. Like, you didn't ride with him. We know, we went to school with you. I'm like, I did. And they just didn't believe me. And at that point, I had nothing to hide. But even my closest friends didn't believe me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to show these guys. And I pretend I was going to go out to grab a drink. And I left the show early. And I walked out of there, first person to leave, and just walked to the train station and went down and lived on that caravan, in that caravan. So that, like, watching Twitch and Urek really motivated me, and Dane Kennard as well, but motivated me to like, I want to be on the floor there with him. And so that was a big step for me. But I think, ultimately all these things that's happened to me has given me a bit more purpose, or way more purpose in my life. And, but also like kept me focused on like what makes me happy, and it's riding my dirt bike. Like even now, 44 years old, like riding with the Freestyle Kings, it's cool. I'm riding at a level that's like I'm proud of, and I'm actually motivated to ride again. Like I said before, the injuries kind of stopped me freestyling, but now with the invention of airbag landings, like those traumatic brain injuries they're still possible, but they aren't as...
It's a lot safer.
Yeah, way safer. So I like keeping it safe and just doing me, because like, it's so easy in this path, in this world, to get pulled from what you're doing and what's important to you on your path, and getting sucked into someone else's, and it's like, someone goes and builds something like, some gnarly jump, and they're like, oh, you jump records, come out and hit it. It's like, no, I didn't build a jump, and that wasn't my vision. That's your vision. So you got to be careful what you say yes and no to. And even just riding other people's houses, like when I'm not feeling it, I'm like, no, I'm cool. The weather's good. I'm not feeling up to that. might go play golf or, do
Smart.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and I never used to be that guy, but I was also like wired a bit different at the time and I had a lot to prove. And at the time I was competing in freestyle. So I should be able to ride any place. So back then I'd ride everyone's houses all the time. It didn't bother me. But now my focus isn't to just be that rider anymore. And I'm working on a specific goal. And so I'm just trying to stay mindful of that through every decision I make.
Yeah. With the things that you do and the experiences you've had with these horrible injuries and, dying a few times, do you ever think about death now? Like when you're hitting a big jump, are you, there's so many that if they go wrong, you could die. Does that cross your mind?
Yeah, it does. It crosses my mind, but it doesn't like rock me in fear like it used to, like I think growing up, it was like the worst thought ever. It was like, I don't want to die. Every kid has that. I've seen my kids just start bawling. And when they realize, they kind of realization that one day mum and dad's going to die, it breaks your heart, and so having my experience, I'm able to give them a level of comfort that like kind of eases that, being able to speak from my own experience and be like, hey, it's okay. It's okay. And everything in this world has impermanence. Nothing on this planet is going to last the test of time. That's just a fact. Like even the strongest metal buildings and any of these bridges and all these buildings that we see will eventually be taken over by nature.
It's a hard thing to communicate to kids.
It is. It's a lot for them.
It's a lot. It's scary.
It is, but it's
good to teach them that.
It is. I think so. And I think that's why my kids are who they are, just from the two parents that they have shaping them. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to die at all, but I'm also, I like to live on the edge, and like, sure, I like people see me wingsuiting, skydiving. It's actually statistically, well, I'll talk about skydiving. I won't put wingsuiting in that same category, but skydiving itself is statistically safer than driving is what they say. I haven't done the research myself, but I'm just repeating information I've heard. But it's quite safe, especially when when I skydive, if I go down there and the wings pull up, I'm the first guy out of there. And I have a great mentor with Sean McCormack and everyone in the freestyle, everyone in the skydiving community are great people because everyone's there at a similar frequency. People that are overcoming fears, people that are leaving trauma, like rebuilding themselves after traumatic experiences, and people that have gone through like the depths of hell and back, as the ones that are skydiving. They're actually a group of like very spiritually advanced people, and it's a great community. I used to like drive down Elsinore and go past the skydive place and be like, well, it looks like a bunch of freaks in there, but now I'm one of those freaks in there. But it's they're actually a bunch of amazing people.
Well, it's like Evel Knievel has a quote. He says, I live more in 2 seconds than most people do in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about these experiences that people won't understand.
It's so true, man.
Unless you've been there.
And I'm like, I've lived like 10 lifetimes, it's crazy. I have the most incredible life and family and friends. And so it's like, yeah, the people I've met and touched, it's as far as like, spiritually, like they're the people that we've like connected. It's so cool. And then so many stories that I forget a lot, but there's so many great people that have come into my life and it's always for the right reasons at the right time. But if you're not emitting the right frequency, then those things don't eventuate.
Isn't that interesting how like your energy attracts certain people? And also the flip side, the people you surround yourself with kind of really affects your energy too. So it kind of goes both ways.
Yeah. And then also like some of your demons lay in the way that your decisions you make, well, they do. Like, and if you're always like, oh, I got time for this person because I feel sorry for them, like it's not really the best reason to give some of your time, sure, like help them out here and there, but it's like you are who you're hanging around. So you got to be mindful of that. And hey, man, I'd be honest with you. It's one of the hardest lessons I've learned because I'm the type of guy that has got time for everyone and not everyone deserves your time. And it's taken me a lot of times to get burnt to realize this, but it's, as the older I get, the smaller my circle gets.
Yeah, especially when you reach a level like that you've reached. There's a lot of people that want something from you.
Everyone wants something from you.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it's not everyone, I shouldn't say that, but it's the people that don't want nothing from you are the best ones.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like you don't want nothing from them. They don't want nothing from you. And that's why you're friends,
Yeah.
because you have similar interests and you speak on the same terms. You have the same kind of awareness and understanding. And that's what kind of is a really cool thing when you connect with people like that.
And you want to surround yourself with people who would still appreciate you if you weren't Robbie Maddison. If you weren't a famous, legendary motorcycle rider, you take all of that away. This person's still my friend because, you know, we're like-minded humans.
Yeah, yes and no. I think the things you've done in your life shape you and make you who you are. And so then that part of you deserves to be around other people who have a similar work ethic and sacrifices to put themselves in and achieve what they've achieved to get to where they're at. So based off of like what you've done and what level you've worked to gives you a level of how you carry yourself and what the bullshit you'll put up with and the bullshit you won't put up with. Your bullshit meter is a lot smaller. So those people deserve to live in that bullshit zone. And the people with a bigger bandwidth of bullshit, maybe you don't have enough time, or, you know, maybe some of the bullshit is just like, I don't need this in my life, you know?
Yeah.
So I think there's truth in that, but I don't think it's exactly on point, but it's, but I hear what you're saying, because like some of my best friends are the ones I went to school with, you know, just because they were friends before you rose to where you rose to.
They're not just friends with you for like the status.
But in saying, yeah, exactly. But in saying that, some of those friends have done exceedingly well themselves, but you don't want nothing from them. They don't want nothing from you.
Mhm.
They're great. You're great.
Yeah.
You are friends from before they got there and you got there. And that's why you're cool, but your bullshit meters are in the same zone. You know?
That's sick. I love that. So this is, I know that Moto has taken a really heavy toll on your body. Not only head injuries, but just so many injuries, physical injuries. Dude, your shoulders are like the worst. They've always been the worst thing ever. Well, I hear stories about like...
Me and Dr. Kramer would beg to differ. Dr. Kramer did incredible surgery on my shoulder recently, and I have a bone block, so I haven't had a dislocation in my shoulder for a while.
Knock on wood, dude.
Hug wood. Yeah. But my shoulders have been through the ultimate test. I mean, one of them was hanging on by shreds forever. You saw it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
aircraft would just pop out.
Sit on the couch.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's so cool to share those moments with you, man. Aircraft was DC was such a great brand and company and group of human beings.
There's a cool time there when they had that big moto era and like all of the most legendary athletes with you and Pastrana and MC and Behrman and Nate Adams next door and Trey Kennard and
the Young Guns,
Jeffrey Hurlings and Ryan Villapoto even. And like, dude, it was heavy.
And Adam Cincerillo.
I just talked to him a few days ago.
And then why did both their names not come to my...
So many.
Two Young Guns.
You know, the Carson Mumford.
Ryder DiFrancesco.
Yeah. And more.
Like, Yeah.
Axel Hodges.
Yeah.
Before he was Axel Hodges.
Was he DC?
He wasn't like officially on the team, but like Nate would support him.
Right. Yeah. And he was like so close with MC.
Yeah. But
yeah, no, it was a great group of talented, and just DC as a brand was like just making moves and shakes. It's crazy because I did the pipe dream and DC was like right when all that business side went south and I got fired the next year.
Really? I got let go.
Right after.
The last thing I did at DC was design your gear for that project.
Good job, brother.
Yeah. And I love that ever since then you've stuck with the orange and blue. It's sick to see.
I mean, blue's always been my color.
Yeah.
And I'm riding an orange bike, so
yeah,
hard to lose that one. But
it's so clean. And I'm from Colorado, so I don't follow football, but it's Broncos.
Oh, it is?
Sick. Little Colorado love.
Mm.
But dude, on aircraft, like it's just one example, but like these injuries have really affected your body. I think I know the answer, but the toll that it's taken on your body, has it been worth it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Easy.
Easy answer. Yeah. I mean, the injuries, like, I remember my grandma going, Robbie, like, what is it going to take for you to stop riding motorcycles? I was 8 years old. She goes, I'll give you $1,000. Back then it was like, seemed like 10 grand, you know? I was like, no. She's like, I'll have to do more. And then, she wasn't going to negotiate with me, but
I'm sure she'd be happy to see everything that you accomplished.
My Nana's definitely beside me, but, yeah, I don't know, man. I wouldn't give up for anything, but I think one thing that troubles me now is my left knee. It's just beat up. I need a knee replacement, but I'm just pushing through. I've had some surgeries to kind of ease the arthritis pain, but after like some long days back in the day, you see me wearing skate shoes all the time. Now you'll come. I'm always in like
Athletic shoes.
an athletic shoe just because the cushioning is better on my knee and it just lets me last a bit longer. But, when I did the Red Bull Wings for Life charity, I really love just because of all the friends that have had spinal cord injuries and trying to bring awareness to that. And, I just love the medicine and how it develops. And I heard some scientists in China just developed an injection that they cured a paraplegic and got him walking again. So just spreading the awareness, I think, is a cool being, especially now. Well, I think one of the positives of social media is that information shared a lot more. I think that's a good thing. Not all, I don't like all of it, but that's one of the positive sides. But ultimately, I think the injuries have shaped me, and they've like at times like limited me. And so ultimately it's kind of guided me in a way. And then obviously, with the head injuries, when they were affecting me back in that time, it kind of shaped me because I had to sign off of Rebel X Fighters at the top of my career without winning the championship. It was such a shitty thing to do as an athlete. That's like, if you always want to win the Super Bowl and the year that you're going to get signed up for it,
you
have to tap out
Yeah.
for medical reasons. It was a process that affected me, right? But it also drove me to invent the water bike.
Yeah.
Which is sick.
Yeah, dude, that was sick.
So there's I remember we're around so many great people in this industry, right? Just based off of what we do, it takes a special type of human being to be able to reach the level that Southern California and that's present all around the world. But it's a big group of them here. But I just enjoy the moto community and all the people in it because we're all over a similar frequency, and that's a cool thing. But
the injuries just come with it, and I think like no matter what you're doing in life, there's going to be sacrifice from somewhere. Whether you're working as an electrician and sacrificing your time and your
100%.
soul for doing something that you hate, or if you're doing something you love but you're sacrificing these injuries that you have to. There's always going to be something that has to give.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's why I love just meeting new people, because you always find a parallel of like where they're at and what you've overcome, where you always find like experiences to talk about or stuff to learn. Everyone that grows that is successful has their own story of pain and have to overcome sacrifice and hard times. So it's like, I enjoy conversations like that because they're very like refreshing. But yeah, I think my knee's probably the biggest thing right now that like holds me back a bit, but it's not even really that bad. Like I put on a CTI knee brace and it's like a custom designed knee brace that's molded to my leg, and it actually got more ACL support. I have no ACL. I've had them replaced 3 times and I keep breaking them. So they're too expensive to keep putting in. So I just roll without it now, but because I got no ACL, my leg's not supported. So it kind of, it fouls on the interior part of my knee.
It must be so painful.
It is. So I've had an osteotomy. So they changed the angle on my leg. So my knee's weighted differently now. So they moved my foot across. They cut the tibial plateau and put a wedge in it and moved my foot across a couple of inches. So it changed the way that my knee gets weighted. So now rather than all that weight going onto the interior part, it goes to the exterior part. And so it kind of weights down now through the outside of the leg if I walk properly. So like my walk gait has to be mindful of how I walk, which keeps me in awareness, which is what I love is, it's so easy to lose. Like when you train and when you want to be aware, like I've noticed this with my career, like when I meditate a lot, especially before events, when it really matters to be like on point mentally, like I'll go like 6 months before, like really start meditating and tuning in with my body and cutting out all kinds of crap out of my diet and really kind of fine-tune machine, which is a path I'm on right now. Which is great because you just feel awesome.
Yeah. Dude, you look super healthy.
Thank you. I feel good. I mean, I'm riding great. I know I'm jet lagged but on the interior, I feel great and life is good. And I have amazing wife and kids. And there's so much to be just, feel blessed for. So, but ultimately, I'm just, with all this, with all these injuries in my knee, for instance, I know I could get a knee replacement now and feel better, but the advice I've been given is just hold off as long as possible. And because I've had the osteotomy in my knee, the way it's weighted, it doesn't hurt as much. I don't have that arthritis pain. Like it used to be the point where after a day of walking around, I'd get on the couch and it'd just ache for hours, and it was like pretty brutal. And now it will happen. And so the point I was trying to make was like, all my friends that had spinal cord injuries, when I went on the Red Bulls Wings for Life, they do the world run each year. I ran a couple of times now and see if I can push my personal best, but I've run like 7 kilometers on this busted up knee.
That's hard on the knees in
It's
general,
super hard.
even healthy knees.
Yeah. But like after 7 Ks, I go to tap out, just the pain's too much. But then after, like a week after, it's just like excruciating. But I do it for the Chris Ackermans of the world and all the ones that have succumbed to spinal cord injuries. Love all you guys. So,
dude, the sport's so heavy. Like I have friends that I grew up racing, like just people that nobody know, like crashed at a race weekend and now they're in a wheelchair for the rest of their life.
It takes a toll on them mentally. I see it, and my heart goes out to them because I can't imagine having that. But I also am such a fan of the ones who find another reason and another purpose and keep a good mentality and just keep pushing on. And there's so many of them out there, and you guys are warriors, and I love you guys, and it's badass that you guys
inspiring.
can do that, and it inspires me. And that's why Chris Ackerman, he had a 70 spinal cord, like right below his skull. It's like where Christopher Reeves did it, so he couldn't even breathe for himself. So he had a machine that breathed for him, and he could only like really just turn his head like a little bit, just to the right. And so he'd always sit on the right side of him because on his bed he could kind of go like that. And I'd tell him, I was like, dude, you're my hero. He was so mentally sharp, but it was nice to go visit him because it's like mindfully just reminded me of like what we're doing. And so I'm like never encouraging anyone to ride or jump a motorcycle or to do skydiving or anything that I do. I don't recommend that to anyone unless that's on your path and that's what you're here to do. But it's important for you to listen to what's guiding you internally, because that's what I do. And I think that's why I've been able to navigate the path I have, because I listen to what's guiding me. And more so as I got older. And now I'm not the guy that needs to go down and jump the jump first. And I'm not the guy that needs to feel like he won practice,
Yeah.
I'm cool with just with cheering on the guy who's feeling on point. Because when you're on point, you can't compete against that. And so that's why I like to feel on point, because then I'm better than my slobby self,
Yeah.
And I've been the version I'm not proud of, and I love the version that I am proud of.
Yeah. And right now you said you're on this mission of, optimal performance. What do you do to feel and perform at your best? What kind of things are you doing?
Sauna. I love the sauna, ice bath.
Yeah,
it
that's
really,
the best.
it's great. Ice bath releases endorphins. The breath work at night, like every time I go to bed, I put on Wim Hof's breath work, and I just do like 6 cycles of that, and it kind of just releases,
Oxygenates your whole body.
It oxygenates your body, it lowers your heart rate, it changes your the vibration of your cells, right? So you kind of go into this.
Do you do the breath
theta.
holds with that?
Yeah, yeah.
So isn't it crazy after like 3 or 4 cycles how
long you can go?
You can go like for minutes without
3-4
breathing.
minutes.
Isn't
Yeah,
that nuts?
yeah. I think my record's around 4
Wow.
without oxygen in your body. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But and I kind of I play around with it. Like I don't just stick to Wim's thing. Like halfway through, I'll go like deeper breaths and quicker, and then I'll do a hold in between, and that kind of like you kind of get a DMT hit out of it. So you get like some
Psychedelic.
Yeah, you get these out of body psychedelics. So he says it, and on his shirt he has a picture of lungs that says "Get high on your own supply." You can reach the level that any drug can take you through breath work, which is pretty crazy because all a drug does is it activates a chemical that's already inside of you, but you can activate it through breath work. So, I'm a strong believer in that. It's like it's something that I love to do, and it's like it brings me so much peace and relaxation. But doing it before sleep, like once you do that after a beat, it's like, I kind of just slide my phone down, click airplane mode, drop it, and I'm straight in a ram, and then I'm like sleeping 5-6 hours, and wake up just fresh as a daisy, feeling
Just
awesome.
puts you in a parasympathetic state.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. And then it's also like mindful of like not eating too soon before you go to bed. So like your body's not processing a bunch of food. And I did a 4-day fast not so long ago. And like, and it was the best thing ever because your body's just eating up all those dead cells, and it just like, and you kind of be aware of like what you're putting in your body. And it took forever on that stuff, but I'll leave people who are more knowledgeable on it, but I've done it, and it's great. It's, yeah, but I mean, hydration's key too. But I think ultimately you are what you eat. So to feel good, it's like putting good stuff in your body. I wake up with like a superfood smoothie. And then that pretty much powers me for the whole day. But I'll
like a big dinner,
kind of like snack on nuts and stuff, and vegetable or like fruits and stuff. Ultimately, when I'm living the cleanest, is like have the superfood smoothie in the morning, have like something light that's nutritious, and then have a good meal and have
do
it
you
kind of
eat meat?
earlier. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I eat meat,
Eggs,
eggs.
like
Yeah,
whole foods. Basically.
yeah. I mean, veggies as well, fruits. I mean,
just trying to avoid processed foods.
it's tough, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to. That's when you fast, right? You're fucking sign off to all of it, and then when you come back from a fast, you don't want to have any like processed food. You don't want to have any refined sugars. You don't want to have
nourish your body.
So mindful. It's a great way of like really being mindful. Because when I first started trying to eat healthy, it's like, oh, I'd forget, like next minute you go like kids again. You're like, what
Especially
the hell
when
am
you
I
have
doing?
kids and like a whole family. You're not just a single dude.
It's the hardest thing. Kids harder. And then like,
yeah,
I won't even get into that, but man, it's health is
kind of a fun pursuit though. I honestly love the journey of healthy living and being really intentional about what you put in your body and how you treat your body, and like prioritizing sleep and all these things like sauna and cold plunge. Like once you start feeling that good and having that energy and like mental awareness, like you don't want to go back to unhealthy habits. You know?
I mean, I'm assuming it'd be easy if you had like a routine. And one thing I haven't had for 20 years is a routine. We live in like in airplanes and on the go all the time. It's so hard to maintain, which is kind of like the downfall side for what I do.
You can do your best when you're home. And
I do great when I'm at home. I do great when I'm home. I reset and I get my mojo back. But on the road, it's tough, but I find myself, you're not always, you can, especially at events, you can't, you can, I guess, but it's always double-edged sword, the cost of it and stuff, but it's, when you're like kind of like getting home late from riding, and then get back and, have a bit of a chill out time and have dinner, and you get back, then it's like, you got to get your rest, and you wake up in the morning and you're like straight to the event.
Yeah.
And you come and got time to no stores are open to go to Whole Foods or anything like that. And it's just,
you just got to do the best you can when you can. And
that's why I like Australia a lot, is like the food's a lot healthier over there.
Yeah, dude, America's messed up.
Unfortunately, it is.
That's why everyone's so fat.
It is. Unfortunately, it's a crime, man. It's like, won't get into that, but like just in Australia in general, there's like, even at events, there's healthy food stands, which is so cool to see, Yeah.
It's not just corn dogs and popcorn.
No.
So with all these insane accomplishments and feats and jumps and records, is there one that stands out above the rest to you?
There's like, they all have a role in my life because they've taught me different things. I think ultimately the one that stands out is jumping off the building, because it definitely put me on the map and gave me a little bit more awareness. And awareness is everything, right? Because you're only as good as what you know, or who you know, or who you're around. And so like more people being aware of your abilities leads to more opportunities. So that was like something that definitely helped me gain. I mean, that's what got me the gig doubling James Bond, was that stunt. On all my Hollywood work has always been from what I've done in my career, and it going kind of to the masses and people seeing it. And
I do feel like that was a turning point for you.
It was, for sure. And then not only like with my work, but also like mentally, it kind of put me to a new path. And touching back what you asked me earlier, after I did that jump, when we did DC aircraft, at the end of it, when I jumped off the crane and landed on that landing, the only thing that got me over, like through that, was like the fear I'd passed doing the building jump. And the only thing that helped me jump the Corinth Canal was that jump in Vegas was a prerequisite. It got me to a level of being able to control the mind and the internal voice to allow me to kind of face the next level of fear. And Corinth Canal was just on a whole nother level. It was so gnarly.
So gnarly.
Probably the gnarliest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
And but then beyond that, when I was on top of that crane, I looked down and this crew's 2 years old in the dirt playing with like Hot Wheels cars. And I'm like, damn it, what the hell am I doing up here? I've got a wife and a beautiful little boy. Why am I taking this risk? This is like the angel and the devil again. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Because this is what I asked for. And this you get what you ask for. You get what you work towards. And that's
You're
just
almost
the
doing
reality.
it for them too, you know?
And so that's what it took me. It was like, I'm like, part of me wanted to get off it because I was in the wind and that thing was swaying like this, you know? And no, oh sorry. It was swaying like that when I was when I did it, you know, Crossy Demons, we toured in Australia. But on the night it was twisting, right? And so it was only getting square for a couple of seconds. It just kept twisting like this. And it was rigged down and all that, but I still had this twist to it. So I had to like time it until it got to, so it was like, as it was coming back, I was like, and right when it got square, I went off. But before that, the mental side that got me the balls to actually accelerate towards the drop was looking down at crews and being like, this is what you asked for. This is what you wished for. This is what you pitched. And, you know, with the team, we collectively as a group created that. And I was like, why do you want to give up on like everything I've done when I do film parts? I always want to have a banger. It's just like who I am. I'm just not cool with doing like a content piece that's like doesn't have something that's like a mic drop, you know? And so that's just how I like to do things. I always like to have a big idea. And then the big idea, then I kind of have the big idea and then I build it out of how that makes sense, you know? But the drop there was crazy because I was like, this is what I wish for. And then I had that same vision and that same mental thing in Vegas before going up on the building. It was like, this is what you wish for. Like, and that just, I was like, done.
Be careful what you wish for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we're in that moment there, I had to like really deep down, I knew it was set up right because I had the experience. I knew where to put it. And I had a mathematician guy that was down there, and not speaking any diss to him because he's a legend and he helped me understand what I was doing to be able to make the decisions I made. But in that moment, the critical decision was where to have the platform. And Eric was saying, it needs to be 2 feet further this way. And I knew on top what it looks like, where it needs to be from a visual standpoint. I didn't know the math of the numbers or anything. I just knew what it needed to look like. And from up there, from where I was standing and leaning over and about to tip and fall off the edge, I knew that landing was in the right spot. And he's going, no, it needs to be 2 feet further out. I'm like, it doesn't. And we're kind of arguing about it. And I'm like, Eric, how many times have you jumped off a fucking building? And he's like, I was like, I thought so. And I was like, that's why we're staying where we're staying. And I agree, said not to be a smart ass about it, but like,
intuition is powerful.
The point I'm trying to make here is you have to believe 100% in what you're doing to the point where the guy you hire to give you advice, you know whether it's right or wrong. And that's what he was there for. So it was no diss to him. I landed, I hugged him and I apologized and thanked him. But he got me to the point I need to get to understand it all. And I didn't essentially needing to make that next decision.
You can't doubt yourself in those kind of a situation.
It's so key, you know?
Yeah.
So you have to be full awareness and full commitment that what you're doing in this moment is right for you and your path. And that's what I'm trying to teach my kids when they're like, hey, Dad, let's go jump off the cliff. I'm like, dude, it's overcast. And like, why? And so, but in the same point, like me being from my perspective, I'm also have the clarity to be like, maybe this is their path and this is what they need to do. So I kind of like my intuition will be like, no. But then I'm like, all right, is that party pooper Rob or is that safeguarding Rob? And so oftentimes I'll just go along for the journey and just kind of wait and watch. And then a lot of the times I'll pull my decision back and realize this is part of their journey. This is them visualizing. And I didn't realize that they've been visualizing all day, like jumping off this cliff and what they're going to do and what that moment's going to look like. It's not like they're just stepping up. But in that same sense, one kid might have been visualizing it when the other kid's just going along because the ego wants to compete. So
That's
it's
where
a
you gotta be
dangerous
careful.
thing. Yeah. You're right. So it's like ego. You got, especially my kids, they got visualization guru, ego, and then the ride along comedian, you know? So, but ego guy also, I shouldn't say that, but the guy who's in competition with his brother is a badass too.
Yeah.
Right. And has an amazing level of skill and ability that allows him to rise to the occasion, which is phenomenal. So it's like me trying to shape these two little gods.
Well, there's a lot of
their own
value
body.
in like learning things the hard way, but
Three
when you're
little
doing such gnarly things, it's like you can't learn the hard way because the consequences are so high. It's hard.
It
I don't
is,
know.
man. It's like I kind of like feel like I've learned the hard way in some way, shape, or form, and I'm blessed that I'm still here because so many of my compadres aren't. There's a wall down there at Larry and Kogel's house that has just, I mean, when the wall was built, it just had all the fallen riders, some of, and the list is so long, you know, and the list has probably doubled since then. And it's crazy, but it's like, yeah, I mean, it's sad that, that following your dream without proper awareness can lead to such traumatic situation.
I want to give a shout out to a really special partner of mine. I've been working with 805 Beer for close to a decade now. And honestly, it's more than just a beverage company to me. It's a symbol of a lifestyle that I believe in. 805 was born on the central coast of California, the 805, a place where life moves to the rhythm of surf, moto, music, and open roads. And whether you're out riding, jamming with friends, or just soaking in the last light of the day, 805 is right there with you. It's not about hype, it's about living fully and embracing every moment. But what makes 805 truly special is their commitment to sustainability. They've been brewing for generations and relentlessly focused on preserving the land that they call home, conserving water, reducing waste, and protecting what matters, the land where we live and play. They support the raddest events and the sickest athletes. But most importantly, they support the culture. That's why 805 has become a staple in my life. I think you've kind of already answered this question, but do you think you'll ever slow down? I know you're never going to quit doing what you love, but do you think you're going to go this hard forever?
I'd like to slow down. It's what I'm working on, is my exit strategy. But I just have goals still, you know, so I can't just give up on my goals. And then it's not so much, it's not about me. It's not the ego doing these goals. It's like, I want to teach my kids that when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And just because obstacles, no matter how big they are, get in your road, you don't quit. And that's probably like the point of like the frustration and the turmoil like that's going on in my life right now, is just because it's hard on everyone having me go through all this, you know. And it's just it's hard on my wife, it's hard on the kids, and essentially I have great support. I have some amazing people behind me, which I'm so thankful of. And I just haven't got the right combo yet. So I'm not getting disheartened, but it's
I'm sorry you're going through that right now.
No, it's
dude.
nothing to be sorry about. Or I appreciate that, but it's like it's just it's life, right? It's like anyone that owns a business goes through this. I'd assume at some level, you know, and that's me just trying to own what I'm trying to do and try to do it. It's a harder thing, and the level I'm at, it's more intense, but I just want to show my kids that don't let shit break you, you know? And so I'm doing it for my kids as much as I'm doing it for the child in me that dreamt
be the
big.
role model.
Yeah. But also for humanity, you know, I want to do something that I can do that, like, I have another more opportunity to spread a good message, you know, at a bigger level. And then I'm happy to not tap out, but just change my focus. Like I really would love to have a nice property and just be able to work on the property, and, you know, and just, not that I don't have that here, but like just like a bigger farm kind of thing, you know, and maybe do like some other kind of ventures that could could make money, but just like,
That'd be cool.
but then also then I changed the lifestyle for my kids. So it's, I don't know. I don't have the answers, but I'm just following each day as it comes. And right now, tomorrow is to keep going with the direction I'm going. And, you know, the group of people around me is so cool right now that I'm stoked, to just even have their support, let alone their friendship. And then just, you know, the business side of things, I have a great team. So,
You talk about the lifestyle that your kids get. As I was pulling in here to this property, I'm like, what a dream to grow up at a place like this. It's just like a fun, action-packed house with like all the coolest activities that you could ask for.
yeah, and that's what I try to make my kids aware of, because it's so easy as a kid, like when you're born into it.
It's just normal.
It's just normal, just assume it, and you like don't see it as enriching or as it's awesome. And sometimes I have to do the old, this is how it could be if you want it to be. And that's why it's cool to travel the world with my kids and, you know, go into places like India and say, hey, you want to change lives with this guy?
Yeah. That's good perspective.
Especially as a little kid, you can bluff him a little bit more, make him feel like it's real. But it's, yeah, I mean, it's very important to have perspective. And I come from, I wouldn't say nothing, but I come from like the regular class citizen, right? And just, you know,
Well, that desperation is what shaped you into who you are. So now, how do you balance that with,
right?
Because your kids now have everything. How do you gift them with the same
Desperation.
grit and desperation that you had when they have everything? That's hard.
Lock them outside for days on end. No. I try to do it, you know, just by speaking real with them.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it's important to have a good like relationship with your kids. Very important. It's ultimately the most important thing, I think. And so for me, even yesterday, like I went and played golf just with Jagger, and just having times where it's just you and your kids. And I'm blessed with 3 amazing boys, and I spent a lot of time with Cruz, and we've traveled the world, and he's learned a lot of lessons from me, and he's a fantastic child and just so refreshingly different. Like he's just a good human being, and he's smart, and he's on top of it, and he's just good to be around. He's like, I can't speak a bad word. And Jagger is such a great human being in himself and so talented, and he's just like funny, and he's so much fun.
It's funny how they all come out with just different
personalities. And so they're both, all 3 of them are just amazing boys I love, but they're all very different. But like, yeah, just playing golf with Jagger yesterday, like, you know, at one point I'm looking for my ball, it's lost, and Jagger's already put his ball in. I turn around, he's like, hey Dad, you wouldn't want this coming at you, would you? And I'm like, don't need a ball at me. He's all, I'm like, why would you get a fucking ball at me, dude? I'm like, look at me, that was funny. I kind of wasn't impressed, but I'm like, part of me would have done that, you know, at that age if I had a relationship with my dad like he has with me. So it's like, yeah, a little menace, but I think inside of him is a beast that wants to unleash, and so I'm just trying to be in his draft to just kind of pull him back where he needs to. But yeah, like phenomenal bike rider and just great human being around. And then Rocco's like so wise beyond his years, like just says the funniest stuff that just breaks you. Like,
I love that.
He's so funny, man. Just hanging out, like he's 8 years old, but just always spoken to like he's my age, you know? So he's just always like, he's just sharp.
Just on it.
Yeah. It's funny, but yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard to like keep that up with the kids, but I just always remind them of how life was for me and how it can be, and how good they have it, and to get off their damn devices.
Yeah,
you know?
that's
it's
hard.
It's a sucky thing, the control kind of side of life, but yeah.
What gives you the most purpose today?
What gives me the most purpose, I think ultimately expecting the best of the person I see in the mirror. That probably gives me the most purpose.
Working to be the best version of yourself. I love that.
Yeah. That's really all I have to work for, you know? And it's like the only thing I can let myself down with is like not being that person. And I'll say right now, I'm not perfect. No one is. But keeping that as the top line, mindfulness is like the thing that just keeps me on the right path. And having a wife that takes no bullshit definitely helps.
Yeah. Well, when you're working to be the best version of yourself, automatically you're showing up as the best version of yourself for the people around you, there's just a ripple effect. Like if you're taking care of yourself, doing your best to be your best self, it affects everyone around you.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You know, I realize it a lot, like especially doing showing with Freestyle Kings. Set record straight, it's not mine. I don't own it. It's Josh Hanna's. And so Josh is a great friend of mine. And just even like he was a kid that had posters of me on the wall growing up. So it's cool to ride for him and with him and be a part of the group, because I'm around a group of like 90, well, Jagger's 12. So 12 to mid 30s, you know, like I think Rob Adelberg's probably like one of the next oldest, or Callum Shaw from me, but I think I got about 10 years on them, and to ride with them. And not that I'm trying to ride at that level, but like I'm starting to get my look through KD floats back, and not that I ever really had them that good. I feel like I'm doing them somewhat better than, and like Josh told me last week, and he's like, Maddo, you're riding the best I've seen you ride for like since I met you. And I'm like, that's so cool to hear. And so to be able to ride and be living at this level, it's a product of the work I've been putting in. And I want to ramp that level up, because I'm not as consistent as I'd like to be, but I've had my own challenges. We all do. So you can only do what you can do. But you don't think about tomorrow. You just you don't think about yesterday. You live for tomorrow, right? And showing up for Josh has been and not only for Josh, but just also like being the older guy on tour and someone that a lot of these guys looked up to and probably didn't feel that comfortable around me when I first started touring with them. But now we've kind of grown to a really cool family, and I just love that vibe that we have on Freestyle Kings, is everyone has got each other's backs, and there's no sides. There's no, like, I've been on other tours where like there's these groups and they're playing their high school bullshit. It's not like that on our tour. So it's just one big family, which is great. I mean, there is obviously some little satellite groups that do different things, but there's, for the most part, like, you know, we're all on tour just trying to live the most of each day and doing some fun activities. And so it's a great lifestyle we have. But ultimately, for me, taking care of myself, especially whilst on tour, I'm able to show up and just be on point each time I ride my bike. And then, you know, just having that extra endurance to, like, after we're done riding, help pack up the airbags and to like help load the trucks. And I mean, and just showing up, like not missing, not being late for media and stuff like that is like, that's the things that'll like get you like not really valued as much, is like when you don't show up for the little things. Like, so doing that is key for me.
What's next for you? Are you working on anything big, or is it
Yeah, I'm working on trying to change my lifestyle a little bit. I love surfing. I want to get my knee better so I can actually surf properly, because my knee like holds me back. I can't wear a knee brace when I surf. But you know, I'm skydiving a lot, wingsuit flying, and I'm just about to do the medical to become a pilot. I passed my written for my pilot's license, but I failed the medical just because I showed up without my forms filled out twice. And then they're aware of the head injury, so I have to go do a Montreal cognitive test, and I have to like go through the most strongest FAA test of like mental, like my just mental health, right? So they're going to put me through sleep deprivation and all this kind of stuff because I've spoken about what I spoke about with you on a lot of different things. So when they do their research, they hear me speak of my past, which I shouldn't actually have to hide. And I'm also 100% in my best physical shape. And that's part of the reason why I am. And so that's why if you don't keep challenging yourself, there's no reason to be the best shape, you know? So that's why it's important for me to keep taking on challenges, because it keeps me working for a purpose and having a reason to have to show up and I have to be the best version of myself, because if I don't now, it's more dangerous. So
yeah.
So when you ask me if I'm ever going to stop, part of me would like to, but I don't think it's healthy for me, because I'm just so wired to live in expecting the most highest physical output of myself that I have to stay in shape. I have to stay limber. I have to stay lean, and I can't just.
You have no option.
Yeah.
Because the things you're doing, like the consequences are too high not to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah. And it's healthy for me, but it's, yeah, I mean, I still have like some wild things I wanted, like some visions and stuff,
Like
but
maybe like a new Red Bull project or something.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's that is the plan. You know, I have some stuff I'm working on. Like,
Can't talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to talk until it's a done deal. But
Okay.
but I'm working on renewing the contract, and I'm excited for it. Rebel has been the backbone of my whole career. I've had such great partners, and I mean, all my team managers have been phenomenal, and it's been a great group of people to work with. I mean, they have been literally, you know, even when they did Rebel X Fighters, you know, they supported the whole freestyle community at that point. So it's a great family to be a part of. And yeah, I still got some unleft business to do, but ultimately just finally pass this medical so I can start flying. Cause like I said, I was flying on my own, not on my own, but like taking off, doing all the radio calls, flying around. Pretty much is just there just to observe. So I was doing the whole lot myself, and I haven't flown for a little while, so I need to brush up on that. But I love flying because it's another reason to stay on point. You know, like you can't be operating an aircraft and be, you know, not taking care of yourself. So that's why I kind of like the pilots, because the pilots they have to be they're you notice when you talk to a pilot, they're very kind of articulate with their words, and they kind of live in a certain fashion. They're not too rowdy, so it'd be nice to be that guy.
That's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, ultimately what lies ahead for me that's a given is following these kids and supporting them and just helping them realize their dreams, and that excites me. It scares me, but it's you know, Cruz is DJing a lot now, and he's got a gig over here at Peltzer Winery. So the next 4 days he's going to be playing in the lead up to Christmas, and then after Christmas he's got when does this come out, the podcast?
This will probably be January, February.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So he'll be done by then. I was going to come and check him out, but he'll be at Peltzer Winery anyway. So he's going to play like 15 days over this next period at the ice skating ring there. Super proud of him. He's been DJing at weddings. He's been was up last night building his new set. So the last thing I said to him before I went to bed, I gave him a kiss, and I was like, bro, I'm so proud of you. You grind, and yeah, it brings a tear to my eye that he's grinding the way he is, and his path is obviously different to mine, but he's got an opportunity to express his talent and his knowledge, and he's very smart, and he's just self-built, self-made. Like, he's taught himself to DJ. He's got great support, and he uses it, and he's mindful. And Jagger is like, I mean, he's like, I went and play golf with Jagger because he loves golfing, and you should see this kid hit a ball. It's insane. So there's like lots of guys, like different areas to support Cruz, and both of them like jam on freestyle motocross. So I don't know how long that thing will live out, or whether that's a viable venture for him in the future. But I told him I don't have a crystal ball, so just do you guys, and I'll support you, and follow what makes you happy, and that'll be in your draft.
I think you've been leading by example. You know, it's
all I can do.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's all I can do, and that's what gets me up. It's another reason why I try to be the best version of myself, because like, your kids are sponges, and if you like to just like practice what I preach but don't do what I do, they're actually going to do what you do. So it's like, yeah, I was going to say, do what I do, not what I say. Do what I say, not what I do. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. But so that's why you have to practice what you preach, and so that's why I'm getting out there and riding with them. You know, there was a period of time there where I was just kind of watching and coaching. But that got us through the period we're at the time. Like, for them learning backflips, you really need someone on the ground, and you need someone driving the crane and stuff like that. So I wasn't, when they're flipping, I'm not geared up. But when they're flipping to the airbag and they're riding, it's so cool to follow my kids in the ramp, man.
That's insane.
Especially like as they're on the ramp and I see them upside down, and then I'm pulling back and I'm upside down. And to follow your kids, it's such an insane feeling. And
that's really cool.
It's one of the most proudest things that I have, that I don't understand. I don't know if the crowd understands like how cool that is.
How special that is.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been the best part of the last few years, is just seeing my kids and being able to ride with them. And, but yeah, man, it's, you know, I think that side of things is good for me, and then who knows what the future holds. But I'm definitely not gonna slow down on like passion and vibe. And I don't know where it'll take me, but whatever I'll be doing, I'll be fifth gear wide open.
Hell yeah, dude! That's the perfect way to end it. Thank you for sharing your story and giving me some time I know you're busy, you're tired, and you made time for me, so I appreciate it.
No worries, brother.
I think our fans are really going to enjoy your story.
Bro. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, sorry I teed out there at the start, but I think that's just a reflection of who I am.
It's human shit, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I was talking about some people that mean a lot to me, you know. It's actually it's the first time I've publicly spoken about Dancy, so it was nice to kind of just give a tribute and dedicate this to him.
His story deserved to be heard.
I did. Thank you very much for giving Dancy the time and to hear my story. And anyone that's supported me, thank you for supporting me on socials and the kind words that come across and the comments, the likes, the shares, all that stuff means a lot to everyone. But it helps us do what we do. So it's important.
Where do people find you? Instagram, YouTube?
Yeah, Robbie Maddison, ROBBIEMADDISON, but on Facebook, on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, we're going to fire it back up again. As I've been touring around, a lot of people are like, man, why aren't you doing YouTube anymore? And the reason is because I've been really focused on building this business I'm trying to build. And so it's taken like kind of my financial support and vision and I'm trying to grow something that's tough, but we will be back.
Hell yeah.
Madhouse is coming back. So I'm excited to talk about that. Hopefully when this podcast releases, we'll have a new episode coming out from when we just in Adelaide. And it's probably not going to be a big deep dive, but I think now that like my energy is a little bit more refreshed, like it's hard to have the energy to be on camera and then to also like be working on something that's consuming you. So that's why I kind of took a break, but life's about balance. And I'm like, feel like I'm juggling 15 bowling pins at once sometimes.
Yeah.
A few chainsaws in there too, you know, but it's, it's been cool to share where I'm up to. And thanks to people having interest in what I'm doing. And hopefully my words help shape some people and make them think about decisions they're making. Because end of the day, you are your decisions and so be mindful of them.
Oh yeah, brother. Cheers.
Oh, yeah.
I want to give a shout out to my amazing sponsor, Rider Justice. There's a lot stacked against us as riders. The unpredictable things that can happen out on the road, and there's a general negative perception of motorcyclists in the courts when something unfortunate happens. Thankfully, there's someone out there who's been fighting for us, like really fighting for over 25 years, and that's Scott O'Sullivan of Rider Justice. Scott is not just a lawyer, he's an advocate for riders. The kind who shows up to rallies, sits on nonprofit boards, gives free legal advice to riders in need, and truly fights for our rights. He launched Rider Justice to stand up for all of us, on the road, in the courtroom, and in our culture. If you've been hurt in a crash, if you've lost someone, or if you just want to know your rights as a rider, go to riderjustice.com.